like pinkish red that you were rocking last time.
That's what I've been using.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
All right, I think we
Well, it just
are
makes me not look
finally.
as pale.
I think we're live, guys.
See my
Welcome.
difference.
Another cold start for this one.
Well, welcome back to the 5th biggest drifting podcast on the internet.
What? We made the leaderboard.
That's cool.
Top 5, baby.
Hell yeah. I'm stoked.
5 out
on
of 5.
that,
Let's
dude.
go.
And there's only 5.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You know,
At least we have
When
some
I-
fun out here, though. That's the key. I mean, that is
when
the
there's
challenge.
6,
You know?
we'll still be 5th. That's
And
all that
we do
matters.
it live. So that's kind of sick. There's only one other one I know that does it live, which I think is kind of neat. But
Who else is doing it live?
Faction. I was on theirs and I said some
right.
like borderline stupid shit, and then it went absolutely viral somewhere. I think it was YouTube.
I don't know why I haven't seen that clip then. I need to see this.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
this recently?
No, it was like a year ago. They cut up something I said, and everyone was like, it was honestly really dumb that everyone. But you know what it is. People just get mad to get mad. But
Yeah.
I promise it wasn't offensive.
Sometimes I say stuff just to get people mad, but that's the internet for you.
get them
Just
clicks, boy.
Just gotta test it out. You know, you gotta see what the limits are, and then it's like, all right.
You're like, I can ask this guy a question. I'm gonna clip it out, and it's gonna go big, no matter what. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter what the guy says. We're just gonna ask him it, and the fact that you asked it.
And that's what happened. I had this whole big story, and they clipped like just the punchline, and without all the context, I sound like a dick. But,
I mean, that's standard for you though, so it's okay.
Thanks.
I mean, it is. It is your area that is known for that. So, to be fair.
Yeah, go Birds.
Yeah.
Oh, right, Philly, right.
Yes.
Go Birds. I don't know. I know very little about football, so I can't say anything. I just pretend now that I'm in America, I have to pretend I at least enjoy football.
Yeah, you have to care about football at least one day a year. So that's like
So,
a rule in America.
Bottom thing is the Philly's the underdog. Only won one other Super Bowl. The other team is like the big guys who like beat up on the little guy. So you can really get behind Philadelphia as a sports team.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is Patrick Mahomes is a Fruit Loop, and and Taylor Swift sucks. And
right.
There's a lot of undertones that are neither here nor there. I just love Philly sports. So
I mean, America is obviously, for those in the chat, why don't we just quick introduce you, since we are already
we're literally just got into yapping.
Already off the rails, guys. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Jacob Gettins, who is the guy that you hear now a little bit more. I would say you talk a little bit more than like any of the previous announcers did with Jared. I would say you're the most talkative of the second announcers that. Because what is your technical description for your job? Is it color? It's not color commentator.
No, technical commentator. Jared is.
Jared's the color.
Okay,
yeah, Jared's
okay.
The color.
I was like, I couldn't remember which is which. So so you're the technical commentator. I do believe you talk more than any of the other guys that we've ever had. I think in comparison.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan Lontaine was pretty quiet, and you know he's not super talkative, but like one of the best minds in drifting. I don't care what anybody says. And then Sage was pretty good and did a little bit more, but I don't think they interrupt him. I don't think they interrupt Jared as much as I do, which is a sign of like it's actually not a good thing in what we do. But I don't know. I like hearing my own voice, so why not talk a bit more?
Of course. And then obviously the big announcement it was like a couple days ago. You're doing Drift Masters this year, taking over. Now, to be fair, you have to take over a pretty important spot over there.
Yeah.
Are you gonna put an accent?
You got some small shoes to fill over there.
Have you been working on an accent or anything?
Just the Canadian accent. That's it. Which apparently is a very attractive accent in Europe. So I'm set. Apparently people love the Canadian accent over there. So I'm gonna say about a whole bunch and talk about poutine and maple syrup and see how that all goes. But yeah, huge shoes to fill with Dave Egan. Like super intimidating. I talked about it in my YouTube video, but like I originally told him no. I was like, I can't do that. He's like, no, we want you to. I'm like, yeah, you're crazy. There's no way. So Most of it was just because of who I'm filling in for.
Yeah.
I mean, if Ian left, yeah, I could jump in there for sure. But I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Ian's crazy.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch I want to get into on that, but obviously want to quick say hi here to Herbie and Sarah. You guys do anything cool last week or so?
Well, it's
Or
been
just
2 days for me.
Well, you're just surviving, Herbie,
It's no
okay?
week
I'm
for
just
me.
happy you're here another day, okay? Let's just
Thanks, buddy.
Get the floor going here.
Always a good time seeing his face.
Thanks. It was warm out. I gotta say that. It was like 70-something degrees out yesterday or whatever.
Dude,
That's
it's
crazy.
still, it's still in the 20s here. It's great. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So we're getting there. We're getting
I
there.
haven't- I
Days
haven't
are getting
seen it.
longer.
I haven't seen the sun in like 3 months.
You're gonna look like Herbie if that keeps going that way.
Yeah.
I gotta start working on it so that way I don't have to wear any sunscreen again this season.
Again,
Yeah.
with an accomplishment.
I was
Pink
just
light
burn-
definitely helps.
I
if you
burn
go
the
back to
first
it.
round every year, so it's all good
Yeah,
for me.
whatever.
That's what I do. Just burn it in, burn your tan in every year. And I'm sure
Yeah.
it's really good for you. It's a good sign.
For sure.
Yeah.
No repercussions whatsoever.
Absolutely
No.
not. Good to see everyone in the chat here. We got Local Cereal, Mike Hunt. We have Brandon V. I know. I tried to make
Big
sure I had
fan,
that Hunt in there. Real
It's
good.
not.
The
Joey.
separation was incredible. Yeah.
I
But
love just all the different usernames. That's my favorite part. I don't think my favorite username is in yet, but I like the creativity. Everybody's so creative.
yes, they want you to say everything bad, and it's good times.
There's a YouTuber I follow that his Patreon, he says the name of all of his patrons.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
at the very end of his YouTube video, like they'll change their name on Patreon just to screw with them. And some of them are so ridiculous. If you're into 3D printing, because I'm a giant nerd, if you didn't know, it's a
Yeah.
YouTube channel called Void Star Labs.
That's
Some
dope.
even if you don't like 3D printing, some of the best writing on YouTube. His puns and alliteration is incredible.
That's fantastic. Like I've had this idea from other industries that kind of do the live streams and the clips and kind of go from there. But yeah, I mean the whole thing about doing a live stream is having fun with the chat, and that's what I like to do when we can and stuff like that. And you know, half the fun is their names. You know, like you got to give it to people when they're creative and have some fun, and then. You can't take things too seriously on here. I mean, that's the reality. Is like, okay, you said a bad word, congrats, or you made me say a bad word. It's funny, you know. Like,
Are you
have
proud
some
of
fun
yourself?
with it. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's all good. It's all good. We're all having fun out here.
Word.
But yeah, no. So obviously, I've known you for probably 6, 7, 8 years, probably now.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. I knew this kid when you were coming in greenhorn, although I was kind of greenhorn as well.
Yeah, we started around the same time.
Yeah, in Formula Drift, and he was one of the guys that I think I talked to you first because I was really confused with your camera setup. I think it was. If I remember correctly.
Was that the arm rig?
It was the one with you had like a pole hanging out with the Panasonic, and you were using that.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I got it nearby to grab, but yeah, originally I used to shoot on what looked like a rifle stock, so it'd have like a
Yes.
butt on the corner, and it had an adjustable main shaft, and then ball head, and then Arca Swiss plate on top for all the camera nerds, and then my camera would go on top of it, so it's the same position for rifle shooting, and that came from my grandfather, who was a bird photographer.
Yeah.
So he brought that over because he used to skeet shoot. So he's like, oh, it's the same position. You have to be smooth with that. You know, if it works for a rifle, why couldn't it work with a camera? The difference is a rifle's weight is near the shoulder. A camera's weight is all near the end.
Yeah.
So the upside with it is it did something a little bit different that's kind of neat. I'm going to get really nerdy here. So Nate shoots on a tripod. This is a conversation him and I've had a few times.
Oh yeah.
Nate shoots on a tripod. So where the camera turns is basically right where his sensor is. Like usually the the sensor is lined up at the main pivot point. With me doing it, the sensor is so much further ahead. And what that does is it increases the amount of parallax, which is the amount that the background and the foreground move against each other.
Yep.
So my shots would look almost faster because the background and the foreground would move at a higher delta, like difference between the front and back than his did. And it was a conversation. You'd be like, why did these shots look so intense? And I was like, the only thing we could think of was that because of that difference, there was more parallax. So it had this unintended consequence that actually made the footage look very different than everybody else's on grid.
Yeah, but it was a fun time because you had your unique way of doing it, and I was like, I don't know, man. It just looks like a lot of work.
Dude, my forearms were ripped though for years. It was great. Now they're tiny. I sit at the desk.
Yeah, I'm sure they were burning. Had that motocross like arm pump at the end of the day.
Yeah, it was good though. I talked about it last year. I really should do it this year. Is like go out and shoot another round, like do a pro spec round while pro's going on. Like bring all my gear out, go out, get back in the media pits and shoot again, just to make sure. I mean, I'll probably be terrible, but it'd be fun. It'd be fun to hang out with you guys again.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you miss that part of it?
I do in a way. I don't miss the like insanely long days and nights and like same day edits and like turning around footage and like sleeping on the floor of an Airbnb and like still editing at 2 a.m. Like that part I kind of miss, but don't.
Yeah.
But the camaraderie in the media pit, it's one of the coolest places to be because it's just all a bunch of misfits and nerds, and we're all like checking out each other's camera gear and talking about like, oh, hey, like, did you see that Atomos released a new monitor? And like, oh, what lens is that? Is it the Mark II? Like, in the same way that drift people nerd out with other drift cars, camera people nerd out that way. And it's cool. There's like a lot of war stories too. Like it's always like, you know, I'll tell the Alec Honadale shooting a rock at Road Atlanta and breaking my lens. Just a 1 in a million shot. But it's, you know, everyone's like, oh man, I couldn't believe it. Like, that's crazy. Like, what are the chances? You know, you share war stories like that.
Oh yeah, it's always a good time, especially. And then you see your camera gear at the end of the year, and you're like, wow, it looks like it has gone through a war.
Honestly.
I mean, it's bad. So it's like it's one
that
of
Panasonic is it's coming back for service. I haven't had it serviced in 4 years, and it was a $500 bill to get it cleaned and recalibrated because it's seen some shit.
Yeah, no, I have to do it every other year pretty much to make sure. Like this year, I think I had to like replace the sensor in my FX3 because it was like so just beat up from all kinds of stuff. Who knows what? But I mean, that's like the industry that we're in. I would say in terms of filming that it's not as bad as something like the off-road stuff. I think off-road's probably the worst in terms of on cameras with all the dirt and everything. But like the thing is with Formula Drift is like guys dirt dropping stuff all the time. So like Utah, for example, is real bad for this, where if you stand in certain spots, you're gonna just get coated in rocks and dirt, and that's just how it is. I mean, normally it's just tire dust, which isn't terrible, but it's again, it's just one of those things where it's just part of the business, you know.
Yeah, that's what you sign up for.
It's definitely where you find out who didn't have any type of filter on the end of their lens when they come crying about how their thing broke, and it's like it was just this little pebble. It's like, now my lens got a crack. It's like this hairline thing or something, but it's like, why don't you have a filter on?
or the shooters that are like shooting at like f/15 and there's all the little dirt spots because their lens hasn't been clean or like dust got on the sensor. There's a bunch of people who have no idea what we're talking about right now, but there's like 5 that are really into cameras. Like, man, I hear that.
No, but
I can understand a little bit. I definitely fall into the category of people who probably don't know everything that you guys are saying, just because I'm not super high tech. Like, obviously, I have an LS in my car. Like, I just don't run like that.
But
like
Natty Light.
Well,
you just put it together by hitting a wrench against it, right? And that's how it works, right?
Yeah. If I can hit it with a hammer, we're in. But if I can't, I'm like, oh no.
Man. And Don Drifts, no, not too early for questions. Just get them in here. We'll ask them throughout the whole night here. So, but again, I wanted to get into, like, obviously you came into FD as a media guy, kind of like me, but you went a different route. But you've always been into like your own business and doing different things with your business. So you kind of want to quick give someone like your background, because I don't know how I would even describe you as in terms of a business person, because you do
black and yellow guy.
You do
the
all kinds of random things.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like business schizophrenia, where it's just like I I think the biggest thing is I get bored very quick, and I get to a point where I feel like I become successful enough in something, and then I'm like, okay, to get to the next level is going to require too much time or too much effort. I'm going to switch over and do something else. But my actual day job is I run a marketing agency. It's called ZZX Digital or ZZX Digital for all the Canadians out there or the rest of the world. So that's my main job. And like that agency has changed over the years. I've partnered with other agencies. I partnered with other people, and kind of like back to the roots now, which is great, where we only have a few very select clients. It's down to one other staff member. So it's great. It's small, but yeah, I mean, we went through a bunch of different phases and started off where I would take any marketing contract I could get my hands on. Didn't matter who you were, like gyms and, doctors and chiropractors and, that kind of shit I was going for. Cause like they had money and they don't know how to market. So why not? And then always liked, car stuff. So once we were able to get a few car clients, I one day said to, I think I had 2 staff at that time. And I was like, listen, we're not taking anybody unless it's automotive. That's it. From here on out, that's what we like to do. We all get excited about these clients. Their automotive marketing is admittedly a couple years behind the rest of the world. Like if you look at fashion or alcohol or tobacco or anything like that, automotive's a few years behind. So if we keep looking at those industries, whatever we bring into automotive seems fresh. We love what we're doing and the clients are pretty chill and we can relate to them. So that's kind of what we did. And then just kept growing from there. And yeah, like I said, partnered with another agency for a little bit. Didn't really go the direction I wanted it to go and kind of changed things back up. And it's like, I just want to get back to focusing on a few individual clients and really, really enjoy that process. But yeah, that's kind of my day-to-day realistically, on top of podcast announcing and family stuff. Not in that order, family, Yeah. They can hear me right now.
Exactly. No, but
Got the kid standing there with like a baseball bat, like
guaranteed. Yeah.
Well, that brings up an interesting point of like, you do have a family though. So, and you had your own business. So kind of, how did you balance the family, the business? Like, cause that's a big challenge. Like as someone that also has their own business and works nonstop, it's a challenge to kind of find time to do everything else.
It's, first of all, you remove anything that isn't moving you forward in some way. So if you're doing something like video games or, mindlessly watching TV, that shit's got to go immediately, right? So you need to just free up as much time. I had this conversation with somebody today. So it's really fresh, which is great. But yeah, you remove all that and then you start looking at the people you surround yourself with and you lose friends very quick. Like that's the hardest part of trying to push to do more. Is you're going to lose people really quick. So I'm like, oh, come out drinking. And I'm like, I could go out drinking and waste an entire night and then the next morning, or I could shoot and edit a video, or I could be emailing people or trying to get a hold of somebody who's in a different time zone because, that's their time zone. And then a lot of it after that is, really like having a supportive person with you, whether that's like a friend or family member, or in my case, my wife. You need to have somebody who understands because it's a psychopath life. It's not friendly to most people because it's like, you're just going all the time and you're just constantly pushing. So that part's tough. And then the last thing is just organized and scheduled. Like you have to look at every 15 minutes of your day as what am I doing in that 15-minute block? Start with the day, right? If you're not good with scheduling, go like, what am I accomplishing today? Pick 1 or 2 things. And then eventually get down to the point where like every 5 minutes is scheduled and like, hey, I have 5 minutes to go to the bathroom. I have 5 minutes to go refill my water bottle. I have 5 minutes. Like that's the point I got to probably last year where I was like, I knew every 5 minutes. Nate's worked with me. He understands kind of my level of like, hey, Nate, it's been 2 days. Our agreement is I will have footage in 2 days and it'll be like to the hour. And it's like, it's going in the Dropbox right now. Like that kind of stuff. Sarah's worked with me on a project, which was interesting. She got to see the very intense marketing version of me, which is a little different than friend and announcer Jacob. It's sure. Yeah, I mean, you could speak to it more, but yeah.
My job, AWE worked with your previous marketing agency, Wild Lives. They still work with them. So sitting in with you in the meetings is always a little cheeky because it's like you and I both have our very best business, voices on what we do. But we also know what each other's like outside of it, like in Formula Drift and raising your eyebrows at that.
No, it's just it's just like the business side is you have to be professional in those situations because all marketing is gambling with other people's money. Because in the case of AWE, they went, here's our budget, here's what we want to do, here's how we think it's going to roll out, right? You have to make the best decisions on our behalf, and it needs to make money, and that's how this is going to work. And that's basically what. And if you do well, the client's happy, and if you don't do well, then you get fired, and that's just how it works. So you can talk your way out of like a month of bad results, but after that it gets real tough. So
and they're tough critics. They push really hard, and it creates cool stuff. But there's no minutes of reprieve. You're like go. So
your boss in particular is I respect the hell out of him, but he's one of the most intense human beings I've ever worked with.
It's true. Yeah. And so he's 2 above me. So my direct boss is Josh. Okay. And then Jesse is the director of marketing. So he's 2 above me. But and I totally get it. However, so I don't know if you guys know this, a little me lore. I worked at a different place doing video, and it was very like 7:30 in the morning to 4 or 5 o'clock videos, just in out as quick as you can. So I was like on camera, I'd be like robotic, get it done. And then I go to AWE and they're like, and I would throw down a very decently done video, and they'd be like, that's not good enough. Like, where's your personality, robot boy? And I'd be like, oh my God. But like in pushing me to try harder and do better, I think it definitely, but I was stressed the whole time. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But
I don't know where we got up to on that, but I mean, very, very intense.
I think we were talking about how you juggle everything, and I was super curious. Like, you look like you have a packed schedule already. Now adding in Drift Masters. Are you okay? Like, how intense is your schedule going to be this year?
Like, check back in a year.
All right, wellness checks for you then.
Yeah, as of right now, I have 99 days where I am not at home, as it is planned. So I have a giant calendar that's in our bedroom. That's how serious we take it. So every morning, when you get up, the first thing we're looking at is what is happening, what's coming up. Like, what do we need to be prepared for so there's no surprises? But yeah, between FD, LZ World Tour, and Drift Masters. So that alone, we've got 18 events. So that's if I don't take anything else on this year. And there's already been conversations about potentially more. So yeah, but it's maximizing that time because like realistically, I'm only missing one typical working day where I'm not able to operate, right? Realistically. Because I can work on planes, I can work in airports, I can work wherever. And that's the upside with doing digital marketing is that I don't physically need to be in an office. I have a laptop, I have a computer, I just make it happen from there. The hard part becomes some of the meetings and things like that. But I minimize downtime. Like I will get to an airport early specifically because then I have time to check emails. I have time to deal with situations because that 1 hour where I'm traveling, the entire world could be on fire in the marketing world. So I need to be able to do that. Whereas some people might go, oh, I just get to the airport as late as I can so then I can breeze through. And I look at that as like, no, I want an hour of downtime and travel. I want 2 or 3 hours at the airport. I want 30 minutes of boarding, 40 minutes without internet. Now I get in the air, going back on internet. So now I only have I have these breaks where if shit happens, I'm back online and I can deal with them. Whereas if I just get to the airport in time and deal with it that way, I now have a solid 2 hour block where the world could catch on fire and I can't do anything about it. So by breaking it up, you have time to fix problems.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. Very thought out.
Have you had to turn away something that you really want to do, just because you couldn't have the time to do it?
Yeah, pretty regularly. I still get people who send me their marketing decks or their pitch decks and things like that. Or, hey, can you help me out with this thing? And I'm just at the point where I have to say no. And I've learned in the last 2 years where it is much better for me to say no right up front and be honest, look, I'm slammed. I would love to do this. I can't. because if I say, yeah, I think I can fit it in, the moment I agree to it in any way, people just take that immediately as a yes, you will do it. They don't listen to the, I think I'll get to it or I'll get to it eventually. They hear
Right.
yes. So now whatever they're doing is being held up by me, and I don't know when I'm going to get to it. And me trying to be nice in the beginning is just going to make them resentful later on. I'd rather just be an asshole up front and be like, listen, I'm slammed. I have no time for this. I can't do it. And then if by some chance I get the time, I'll hit them up, be like, I have 15 minutes right now. If you really want my help, send me that, and I will look at it over the next 15 minutes. And I do that all the time, where I'll tell somebody no, and then like 3 days later, I'm like, send me it right now. And if they really want the help, they'll do it. And then I'm like, okay, you have 10 minutes of my time. Let's go.
Right. That's great. I mean, good for you for still, you know, planning that well and still trying to get to them.
I try. It's not everybody, but like there's still a lot of friends. Like Nate and I've had a bunch of like impromptu calls about business stuff where he'll text me and be like, it always starts with, when are you available? And I'll be like, okay, 3 days from now between 3:15 and 3:30, I have 15 minutes. He'd be like, cool. And at 3:15, my phone's ringing and it's Nate. I'm like, all right, cool, we're good. And I love that because that's respecting my time. And then I'm happy to help. But like, bitch, if you're late, if it's 3:17, I'm not picking up. Because now I got 13 minutes to myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I respect that, obviously. As you know, I run, obviously, I still do the media side of the industry. And you've kind of moved into a different aspect of the industry, but I'm very much the same way. I mean, Herbie knows how I work. I'm very structured as I can be. Obviously, FD weekends, you can only plan for so much. But in terms of like being able to get the shots we need to get, getting that all named and out the door by the certain amount of times we need to get out the door. Sleep kind of goes by the wayside at that point if it needs to be. You know, it's just like one of those things where you get the job done and you have the amount of time you got to do it, so you just do it. And it's a very busy lifestyle, but it's also I like it. I like being busy personally. I like being like having things to do, and that things that I feel like are valuable to people and value to me. So it's like that's kind of the one thing. So I guess what I want to kind of know is like where the transition to announcing kind of came for you, and like is there people that you watch to kind of get better at it? Like just kind of take me through the process of getting into the announcing section, because you've always been a very talkative person, and like when we were doing everything, like whenever we were obviously at FD, we would always talk a ton. But it's like how did you kind of transition it into speaking? Obviously, I guess for people that don't know, you did have a podcast beforehand too, so I guess kind of go into.
I mean, how far back you want to go? Like we can go back to like kindergarten, because I was like the kid who was always talking and in shit for talking all the time.
Always on the parent teacher conference, like the chatterbox or whatever.
Loves to distract other students. Like that was me. It's funny. There's like a phrase in my family, which is, you better find a job where you talk for a living, which is hilarious because like it's something that was said to my dad and then something that was said to me. And it's one of those things like you look back and you're like, shit, like is this where I'm supposed, like this is where I'm supposed to be apparently. But I mean, even as a kid, I was always into like being on stage. I remember I think it was like grade 3 is the Christmas concert. We did like an Elvis Christmas, and I had to be Elvis. I was like, whatever I had to do to be Elvis, I had to do it. So I could just be on stage and be Elvis and grade 3. Yeah. There's probably a video of that floating around. I know my grandma's got it. And then, I went to an improv camp, I think when I was like 10 or 11, my uncle ran one, and I was like, shit, this is cool. Like it teaches you how to think on your feet and like how to, be witty and funny. And I was always a chubby kid too. So like when you're chubby, you gotta be funny, because if you don't, like you've got nothing. So I think that helped.
This is true.
Not telling people to be overweight on purpose, but you will need to develop a personality if you want friends.
Yep. This is true.
And then high school, I was into improv again. I was part of like the improv club, and I was in a play. I was in Greece. I played Sonny.
Nice.
So I think that all like kind of led up to it. I worked as a magician for a really long time too. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah,
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Really?
yeah.
I can
you
see
You got
that.
paid?
I can
Like
see
you
that.
actually got paid?
Yeah, that's
Wow, really?
yeah. When I got paid all the way through high school. I mean, I'd work a job in a kitchen, and sometimes I would like go into the restaurant early and like do magic at tables for tips.
Yeah.
There's a couple of restaurants I got to regular at, like on slow nights, like Sundays and Mondays. And then I did street festivals and busking, and then even like the mall had like a big festival. I used to do that. And then when I got into college, I found it was a great way to get free beer. So I was just doing magic for basically like free beer and meals. And yeah, that helped a ton because I'm in front of people. I'm in a very, you have to be on, you have to be thinking, you can't stumble. You're just constantly talking and distracting and keeping people going.
Yep.
And then the actual announcing part of it, man, I'm trying to think of exactly when it started, but probably during COVID was when it, oh no, I guess I was at Lake Erie before that. Lake Erie Speedway. I signed them on as a client. There was an event where they needed an announcer, and I said, screw it. Like, I've been watching drifting. I've been talking about drifting. I feel like I have a good base on it, and did some stuff there. COVID hit. I was like, maybe I can still do some more commentary. Like, why not?
Mhm.
And that was me doing it with Ryan Lontaine for the EDC, Electronic Drift Championship.
Yep.
Yeah. Did a couple of rounds with him, and I was like, shit, I really enjoy this. Lake Erie opened back up again, went out, did a few more rounds there. And then when the podcast came up, I got signed on to do the FD podcast, and we can get into that whole story deeper if you want later. But I made it quite clear to Ryan Sage, like if a presenter or, if Lorette's sick or you want to do other interviews or anything I can expand on, whatever it is, let me know. And Ryan Lontaine had announced with me. So like, that was something that might've been in the back of their mind, but I just made it clear. Like, I want to do more. And I think that's an important thing for people to know. Like, if you want to do something, just tell people, like, just even if it seems weird, like you want to go to space, start telling people you want to go to space. Cause like weird shit happens. And someone's like, dude, my dad's an astronaut. And you're like, what? And next thing you know, you're strapped into a rocket going to space. Like, that's what it feels like sometimes. I am very open and honest about the shit that I want to do. And once people hear it, they want to help. And they're like, oh, like, yeah, I know a guy. So making it clear that I wanted to do more announcing. Came up that Jared had to be in Detroit for a Mustang announcement for the Dark Horse. They needed somebody to sit in with Sopa. And I looked at Sage and I said, it's me. Like, no question. This isn't asking. I'm telling you. I know everything about ProSpec. Yeah. I know all the drivers. A lot of these drivers I've watched over the years or grew up with or are friends.
Yeah.
I've been watching FD for 10 plus years. I can do this. And he's like, okay. And I almost screwed up my opening line because I thought I was going to do technical, but I was doing color, which I did not prepare for at all. And my opening line was like, welcome to Formula Drift Utah. And I almost said uterus. And like, that was,
bro, that is not close at all.
It's kind of close. It's kind of close. But I remember like welcome to Formula Drift Utah. And I had to push the end out because I was like, why would I say that? But I was so scared and so nervous that the only Ute word that was going to come out was not Utah.
Dude, the intrusive thoughts were right on the edge of your brain.
The intrusive thoughts.
I'm sure if you went back and like watched that stream, you can hear me force the word Utah out because I had to.
What's funny is I bet that is like, it's in your brain obviously still because you talk about it. I bet you there's not a single other person who even remembers that.
No, that's great. And that's, I screw stuff up all the time and nobody catches it. It's
We're
amazing.
Humans.
Yeah. But like the live stream will argue about a call and stuff. And I'm like, bro, I got this driver's history completely wrong and you missed it. But you think because he was 2 inches deeper on this zone, he should win the entire battle. Like, you guys are focusing on the wrong thing.
You could be bashing me right now.
Yeah.
No, it's true though. Like, people kind of get fixated on things that to them are obviously more important. So like,
they don't care about me.
Yeah, they're like, hey, he's just another guy talking. Yeah, we saw what we saw. We don't need to believe what he said. It's whatever.
Yeah.
But
funny is like announcers are necessary. Like, I know everyone's like, oh, they're guys talking, but if you take them out, it's like so much dead space that everyone's uncomfortable with. They
It's
get like
bland.
immediately uncomfortable,
Mhm.
and they don't know why.
Watch the old practice show before we started like turning it into like an actual show, and
Yeah.
it's hard to watch,
Yeah.
like from TV. Now at the event, practice is probably my favorite thing to watch. I enjoy practice more than I actually enjoy the competition in a lot of ways. Now the finals, top four, there's an energy that you just can't beat.
Right.
But to actually watch driving and learn about drifting, you will not learn more than practice, because you see them make adjustments. And you go, why did that car just do that? Like he was doing fine and now the car's acting weird. You go up and talk to them and they're like, oh yeah, we towed the car in more, we dampened the suspension, and that's why I did that. I've learned more just by watching that, going up to the driver and like, what happened on the last run? And they go, oh, we adjusted this. And I went, cool. So now when I'm watching competition, I go, oh, if I see that happen again, if I see a car wash out in the same way, I know why, or I have a really good idea as to why that happened.
100%. And
Yeah.
the other thing you got to remember is when you're commentating on things, like you give, when the way you're talking also kind of gives the energy of how people should be feeling about a situation, which I feel like is a lot of power with any scenario, you know, like whether you're something like crazy happens and then you guys are getting hyped in the booth, you know, like I feel like that really helps with the whole energy in the event as well. So you have the whole emotional side of it too. It's not just your words, it's how you say it.
Yeah, and that's something that I don't think people give Jared enough credit for, is he can hold the audience like in the palm of his hand. He can have everybody just right here. And it's such a tough thing to do. There was a moment when James Dean had his big crash in Irwindale 2 years ago, where he crashed and I was just about to say something and he either sensed it or saw me like start to lean forward to say something, and he just like smacked me and just did this. And like actually he reached over and muted my mic, because we like our stuff is right there, and he mutes it. I'm like what? He's like, let it breathe. Everybody needs to feel how heavy this moment is. And he's like, and if we talk, it'll ruin it. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, you're right. I'm like, you're right. Because if it's just me going like explaining why the crash happened, that doesn't help. But just seeing the car and just waiting for the moment for him to move, like that's all that moment needed. But he does that a lot. Like he's taught me about building up a situation and how to, you know, bring it up and then bring it down, but then leave it on a question so that way you can bring it back up again and things like that. Like that's such a tough thing, and he does it so naturally that it took a little bit for him to end up actually like explaining it to me, where I was like, why aren't we talking? Or why did you do that? Why did you do this? And he'll mute both of our mics and be like, he's like, oh, we gotta do this and then we gotta do that. And I'm like, no one's ever taught me that. Like, thank you. Like, let's more. What's next? What do we do next? So there's a lot of that going on behind the scenes. But yeah, it's a huge thing, but it's heavy. It's very like emotionally heavy and taxing, because if I don't call a run correctly, that could mean the difference between a driver getting their next sponsorship paycheck and not. And that was something that was brought to me by a driver, where it was in Seattle last year, where a driver came up to me and said, hey, I really appreciate your technical knowledge. I love that you know what you're talking about most of the time. I love that you're able to analyze and break down a run. I'm having a really rough year, and every single run that I want to send to a sponsor is just you saying how bad I am at drifting. And I'm like, oh, like, it hit, and it's a driver I really like and really respect, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. And he's like, I don't want you to change that, but can you at least make it a shit sandwich for me and say something nice, then break it down, and then say something nice at the end? He goes, because it is so hard to go back and watch this when it's just Jared calling the run and then you just decimating everything I just tried to do. And I'm like, that is fair. That is very fair. So, and I never thought of it. I'm like, I'm just doing my job. I'm just explaining why
you're doing it from your point of view the right way. Like you're not doing anything per se wrong, but then it just opens up like the what's morally correct type situation.
Right. You'll see from Seattle on, this past year, I will say something very nice in the beginning, even if it's I really like the color of their car.
Yep.
I will then shit on their entire run and explain everything they did wrong and maybe explain why it could have happened. And then at the end, I'll be like, you know what, though? They've improved since practice.
Like,
Yeah.
there you go. Hell
You know,
yeah.
two
Something.
things can be true at once.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was a
exactly.
bad run,
Well, that was
but
my
you know
next.
they also are trying their best given their
Right.
circumstances that they're like working through.
Well,
It's
that-
a balance. It's
Yeah,
a balance.
that was my next question is what is the relationship now with drivers? Is it changed, obviously, since you were a media guy?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Drivers are very friendly to media people. They will do things like pick you up in their golf cart if they see you walking, right? The old hitchhike. Every media guy learns how to hitchhike in Atlanta because you don't want to walk up that hill. So you'll start walking up the hill and you stick your thumb out and someone will pick you up. That's been really good. The relationship's been really good. It's different than the media days. The difference is now there's a trust in what they tell me, but also a trust in what I won't say. And that's something I'll be very clear with them. Something Lorette taught me. And she goes, if you get into a deep conversation, immediately go, is this on the record? Because you don't want them to tell you something and then find out that like you shouldn't have said any of that shit. And then you say it on air and now you look like an asshole and they're in trouble. So Lorette had taught me that very quickly. And by doing that and keeping those secrets and keeping that information aside, it's been good. There's a lot of things they will tell me that never make it to air or maybe never come to fruition.
Right.
So that part's been good. I've had a few drivers upset. Usually they'll calm down and we'll talk a bit later. You know, there's always the concern of like, oh, you said that and the judges thought that way. And I'm like, man, it's really not like that. It's really not. It's usually a different feedback loop where I will start talking and I will see Brian or Reese or whoever, Vernon, and they'll be like, they'll stick their thumbs up to be like, you're 100%. You're explaining exactly what we're thinking. So they've already made their judgment a lot of the times before we even get into the technical replay.
Yeah.
Right. They'll make a judgment and then confirm or deny that judgment with the technical replay.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm talking anyways.
Right. And well, so how do you then balance a battle, for example, like a close battle? Do you and Jared go to, so this is an explainer, like when I talked to Davey, and this is a couple years ago, he explained it to me to where he and his partner would each take a side of an argument and kind of explain each side. And I thought that was a really interesting way of trying to announce it. Because that way you don't necessarily pick who's going to win. You just give reasons on why a certain call may go a certain way. But like, do you do it differently with Jared, or kind of like what is kind of your goal in a battle where it is debatable, for example?
Yeah. So this is something I'm going to actually have to learn when I go over and do Drift Masters because it's two very different styles of commentary.
Okay.
So Jared and I are like I go, you go. Right. He does the color live when the run is going. I do the technical, kind of chat a little bit about it, go to the judges. It happens. Dave and Ian are very free flowing. Sometimes they will switch off midway through a run. You can't even tell, especially if you can't, decipher accents. But Dave will like start and go to like initiation, and then Ian will just pick it up. And sometimes they'll switch back before the end of the run, and then they go back and forth. So I learned a little bit from what they do, where if I feel like a run is back and forth, I will just openly say, I don't know. Even if I have an inkling of where I think it might go, or let's say the run's like 60-40, there's a better chance it's going one way than the other. I might indicate that, but I will always close off with, but it could go like, because of this and this, it could still go the other way or be a one more time.
Gotcha.
So if you hear me say that, there's a very good chance I think it's leaning one way. If I just straight up say, I don't know, I seriously don't know.
Right.
So there are times where you feel like it's a straight wash, and there's times where Jared said it's a clear winner, and times I've said it's a clear winner, and we've been completely wrong. So I try to stay away from that. And yeah, I mean, there's I think Seattle again. I believe it was Castro went 3 wheels off, and Jared said like, "Oh no, it was only 2," and I caught it from a different angle very quickly. And I was like, "Well, Jared, like let's take a look at the replay," and then it was 3 off. I believe that was the situation.
Yeah.
And then there's times where I'm like, "No, like this is the way it is," and then Jared will bring up something. He's like, "Yeah, but what about this thing you completely forgot about?" I'm like, "Shit, you're right. I can't say that," but So we still do that, but in a different, I guess, in a different way, because it's two very different commentary styles.
What's kind of your opinion on getting judges involved after after they make a decision and then getting on the mic?
I like it. I do like it. I think we have such a confusing sport for people who are casual fans. You know, it's very difficult to get my dad into it or my mom into it. My mom's into it. Actually, my mom's like pretty into it now, which is great.
Same.
But even still, she'll be like, I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. My wife will text me during events to be like, what the hell was that call? I'm like, babe, I'm at work right now. I can't message you back. Like, but that lets me know, though, that if that's the case, if I'm like, this is pretty clear cut, and somebody or a vast majority of people don't understand, that means we're missing information. If everybody in the booth and everybody that's judging and Ryan Sage and even the sound guy who's become like a really big fan now, if they all get it, that means we know and we're high level experts, but the casual fan might not. And that's the hardest thing that's the biggest thing we need to fix and the hardest thing to fix right now. So having the judges be able to explain it a bit better is very necessary in my opinion.
100%. No, I agree. Like, I've always been a big advocate for as much judge clarification as possible, even if it's obvious, because I feel like if you can, because the biggest challenge for me in the sport of drifting in general is the education side. It's a cool sport to observe from afar, because like, oh cool, a bunch of cars going sideways making smoke, but to actually become a fan and be dedicated to like watch every round, you need to know what's going on, and it's not abundantly clear from just watching it. And there are so many different ways that you can lose a battle, there's so many different ways you can win a battle, and you need the repetition of being explained to, okay, this is why this guy won in this scenario. And then I feel like, because you're always going to be getting new people every round that watch for the first time.
Hopefully.
Exactly. So for me, it's always been super important to, especially with where drifting is now and how it's still not obviously the biggest motorsport in the world or anything. It's big, but it's not a NASCAR or anything like that yet. So getting the education or the public educated, I think, should be a number one priority for you guys to grow the audience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, NASCAR is an interesting example for a few reasons. One, peak NASCAR, this is going to be controversial, but peak NASCAR died with Dale Earnhardt, in my opinion. Senior died, and a lot of the fan base left, and NASCAR then went on this big holy shit, we're losing people left, right, and center. We have to paint the seats different colors to make it harder to tell that they're empty kind of shit, right? Like, that's a real thing too, which is crazy. They tried a lot of different things to get things back, and they went into a realm that Formula Drift is in currently, which is, it got too confusing, where things like the playoffs now, it's very easy to just look at a scoreboard and say, this guy won the most races, this guy got the most points, this guy wins. It's very easy to watch, hockey, which Nate and I are both big fans of, and go, that number is higher than that number, this team wins, right? NASCAR with the playoffs, you went, well, what was the point of the whole season then? Like, I don't get it now. Like, why would I watch these? Like, why? I don't get that.
And there's like a bunch of different series and playoffs, and like how many different branded series do you have? It's like,
exactly. Whereas drifting is very similar in my opinion as snowboarding, or even I'd say figure skating, to be honest. I think because it's snowboarding, you can do so much, it's so freeform, where if somebody busts out like a crazy trick, you're like, oh, that dude just won, right? Figure skating, surfing is probably the best example, but I don't know surfing that well, but from people who do, they explain it very well. I'm not one of those people. Figure skating, though, there's a series of things you have to do every single section or showpiece or whatever that you're doing. You have to land these types of tricks. The more flawlessly you do them, the better your score is. The casual figure skating fan that I am, which is once every 4 years at the Olympics, I go, those all look the same. That person didn't fall. They should probably win. And they're from Canada, so I'm going to be very vocal that they should have won. Meanwhile, somebody who knows figure skating goes, oh, there's no way they should have won. Like, no, not like,
Yeah.
Look at they landed flat-footed. They didn't land on
Yeah.
their picks.
Yeah.
And look at her form in this spin,
Right.
like her arms out off to the side. That should have been tucked in way better. Those two things alone, completely, it's wasted. The whole thing's over. And I'm like, I didn't even see those. Drifting is very similar. We go, someone was, a foot off the wall. At the level we're at now, that means you lost a battle.
Yep.
Yeah.
But to my dad, who reads his phone out like this, he doesn't even know they're a foot away from me. He goes, "Ooh, big smoke, close cars. That was a good run."
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's very confusing why that person lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, just personally, that is the thing. Like, and even today, I would consider myself now a veteran in watching the sport at least, and I still get confused every once in a while by calls. So it happens, and I'm kind of curious. So let's say something happens and the chat's going insane. Well, first of all, do you guys see the chat?
No, I do not open that.
Okay.
I did once, and it was the worst decision I've made.
Jared, smack your phone in your hand. Get the shit.
No,
Don't
it was
turn it off. Like WebMD.
No, seriously, total vulnerable moment here. Last year in Utah, when Chelsea Denofa came in and guest announced, I opened up chat and I saw probably 20 or 30 like, get Chelsea in, kick Jacob out. And it hurt. It seriously, you go back and watch. I get back on mic and you can tell that I am not doing well. And I was like, that's it. I can't. I called my wife and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I don't deserve to be here. Chelsea knows so much more than I do. Like, that dude's a setup god. Like, he knows, he forgets more about drifting than I have ever learned. And I'm like, there is no reason for me to be in this booth. Like, that's it. It was tough. It was like one of the hardest things I've gone through.
To be fair, that's like one of the most beloved people in the sport.
Oh, I know. But
that's one thing. And also, I feel like Jared too gets a lot of hate that is misplaced.
I don't know how he deals with it.
Me neither.
I think he just blocks out the haters. I really do. I think he just ignores it. He comes out, I know he can, any human's going to be frustrated by it.
Yeah. Sure.
But like the dude's like, no, like, I don't know. What's the level of swearing we can get in on this?
You can say whatever you want.
I think you can say whatever.
I feel like it's the fuck you. Yeah. You're not me. Like I've
dude has watched. That's how it is.
Yeah.
That
dude's watched every single run of Formula Drift in person and talked about it.
Yeah.
Your opinion is not valid. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. It's also the same people in the chat, which again, I love the fans. They're the reason why we're even there, and they are the best fans of drifting. I love them. Let me start with that. But I'll see comments in the chat that's like, this dude sucks. And they're talking about one of the best drivers to ever live. So it's very easy to just write something in there and you're like, what?
We all did it. All of us on this right now and everybody watching at some point in time has shit posted someone we don't know and said some really cruel shit about them on the internet.
Or they just said, oh yeah, I could be James Dean. And you'd be like, oh, you can? In the chat, you're like, it's like,
I like to do all my shit posting in person.
I'm a big shit talker, so not as good as Reese though. Reese is the ultimate shit talker.
Alex is trying to do it right now.
I didn't even got the chat open.
He's trying to do it to me.
Yeah, I know. Well, listen, it's an industry that people are passionate about, and that's what helps the sport.
That's what I'm happy about. That's the conversation we all have afterwards. Is that was rough, but I'm happy people are passionate about the sport at the end of the day, right? Like that's the biggest thing is I'm stoked that you have feelings around this. I'm happy you have opinions. I want you to be emotional about this sport because that's what's going to keep you watching.
Yep. Do you guys ever have like meetings or anything on that you can at least tell me about that after controversial things that happened? Or like
every time.
Okay.
No, every time. I know the judges have like a private chat and conversations and stuff like that. Ryan, Sage, and I will. I mean, okay. Let me just preface this.
Yeah.
The moment we see another FD person, we start talking about drifting. Until we get home, we do not stop talking about drifting. It is like all we're talking about, and then it's like, how's the family? They're good. Okay,
Yeah.
so that run last week, like really, what did like?
Yeah.
That's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah.
So, is there anything official? Sometimes, there will be situations where Ryan Sage and I will jump on a call and I'll be like, hey, what's the stance on this? How are we communicating this? Like, what are we doing about this thing? But the vast majority of the time, it is just, I see Vernon for breakfast. He's fresh out of the gym. Dude's swole as shit, eating this much yogurt. And I'll be like, okay, that run yesterday, what do you think? And he'll, for 20 minutes straight, tell me everything about that entire run from memory. And I'm like, okay, I understand now. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Let's see. What's been the most difficult scenario to talk through so far for you?
Difficult scenario.
Yeah, was it because you guys have had some like real long pauses, like nothing happening.
That would be me almost every prospect run. So
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess, and you tell me if I'm wrong. Was it Atlanta with that really controversial Adam call?
Adam LZ one. That's the one that came to mind.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, that one was interesting. That one was interesting for a few reasons. When the incident happened, I was like, my initial gut reaction was, okay, he shut the car down. The car broke. There was something happened because it looked like he stalled up in transition coming out of the keyhole. And Matt was tight on his bumper, but it looked like, and also I'm recalling all the way back to that event months. So I'm going to screw this up. And Nate's going to overlay some footage of exactly what happens. It's not going to line up at all what I'm saying. But it looked like Adam.
He already knows how this works, okay? He already knows.
Bro, I manifest this stuff all the time. It looked like Adam had slowed down in transition. Nate was tight on his tail, which you need to be because if you get caught there, you're screwed for the chase down the hill.
Matt was.
And Adam missed a gear, missed something, and he got hit. That's what we thought. That's what we all thought. Adam stopped, straightened, got hit.
Yeah.
We watched the replay a bunch of times, and it looked more like he got nudged as he was straightening. And then when Adam released the in-car, it looked more like he got hit. And then, and it admitted, like said this, he shut it down. So the general consensus was just never shut it down. Like, why you got tapped? Why are you shutting it down? Right? There's no reason. Adam's argument is, I got hit pretty bad. If you watch the in-car, it does look like a good hit. I got hit pretty bad. I don't know what the car's like. I don't know if my rear end's destroyed. The safe thing to do is to shut it down. So
well, his argument was after the hit, it was either over rotate or straighten the car. And
because of where he was angled. Yeah.
So that was his argument. Obviously now he knows just to spin out if that happens again, So
the hard part with that was I had people DMing me telling me, and this happens more than I'm even comfortable to admit, where people are DMing me through the show telling me that we need to fix something or the judges are wrong. Like I said, even my wife jumps in there on occasion. But I had an overwhelming amount of DMs, and most of them were in the request folder because these people that don't follow me and I have no idea who they are.
Right.
They heard your name on the thing and it's like, where do I find this guy?
I got 3,000 followers on Instagram. I'm a nobody on Instagram. Okay. I had 2,000 back then. And it was crazy.
Yeah.
Where they're like, the judges are wrong. This is killing FD. You guys are shills. Adam should have won. I'm like, holy shit. Because we went to commercial break. I checked my phone because I just see it vibrating across the table. And normally I'm really not on my phone. The only time I'm on my phone is if drivers are messaging me things, which we have a channel for that. But so that was tough. And we had to kind of come back from break and explain it all. And the internet was big mad. And then the really funny thing was I had a project on the go, and this is where my lives can combine sometimes. I had a project on the go where I actually had to be at the compound the Monday. So I walk into the compound, I see Adam, and I just look at him. And we're both kind of doing one of these. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about this weekend. And he's like, I'm already over it. I'm like, cool. It was just like that moment of like they both kind of staring at each other, going like, "Okay, who's going to talk about it?"
Spider-Man memeing each other.
Yeah.
It ended up being fine, dude. They made a heat wave ad out of it. Him and Matt Field. It was great.
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
You gotta love that.
Oh, it was so good. My marketing brain was like that. I was like so satiated. I'm like, you took a really messed up situation and turned it in a way to sell sunglasses. Like, goddamn, like that was good.
Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah, tickled just the right spot.
I'm not even Italian, but the Italian hand came out.
You have to for those situations. I think it's also difficult because when there's a really controversial call like that, fans, and I consider myself a fan as well, you'll kind of like subconsciously root for your favorite when it could go either way. You know what I mean? So I can see how people were upset about that, or like could think, one way or the other.
Yeah, no, I get it. And it's the same thing with like, parenting and shit, where it's like your kid comes back from school and tells you something and you're like, yeah, of course you're right. You didn't do anything wrong. Meanwhile, you find out your kid's picking on the other ones and your kid's the asshole. And then you're like, oh, well, okay, maybe I was wrong. Same thing with favorite drivers.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
There's always going to be some bias in anything that you do.
Which is good, because it means we have fans of drivers. Like,
passion, like you were saying.
Exactly.
I feel like
Don't DM me. Don't DM me your passion.
Don't.
I'm just a messenger of what I see.
Bro, I just talk. All right, that's it. I can't change anything. I have no power. People will ask me stuff. They're like, "Hey, do you think you could do this?" I'm like, "Listen, bro.
No.
I got the wrong color hard card for that. Okay,
Yeah.
Mine's just gray. It's the black hard cards. Those are the people that can make change. My job, nothing. I've been pushing to make Utah go backwards ever since we started. Are we doing it? Probably not. So there shows how much I can do.
Yeah, me and my co-host Mike when we get that, we'll go like, "Oh, we just talking to the stick."
Yeah,
just
that's
talking.
it. I have no power here. And the court jester. Okay, that's it. I'm not the king.
We are the dancing monkey of the circus.
Exactly.
I feel like we should look at some questions because you got a lot of questions in here. What do you think, Dave?
All right, you gonna read them off, or should I?
Oh, I can start actually with Brandon V here. Has anyone ever brought up that Nate looks like Timu Jeremy Renner / Hawkeye from the Avengers? I'm like, I don't know.
I can see it.
I don't know about that.
I can see it.
Wow.
I think
you
that's
have that too.
Joey asks, "Are you gonna have a Eurospec beanie?"
That's what I have spent so much time pondering what I'm going to put on my head when I go to Europe. Like,
where did that start? Where did the beanie begin?
I literally bulk recorded 5 episodes all at once, and similar to this backdrop, the original backdrop was completely black. So I had a black hat on. My head disappeared. It was, you can imagine it, right? Like, it just didn't look good. And the only hat that we had in the house that wasn't a black toque, thank you, was not this one. It's that one over there, which I have hanging on my wall because I'm a weirdo. It's actually right next to the door, so my kids have to look at it every time they leave the house, so they know where the paycheck comes from.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I bulk recorded it, and then the second episode came out, and some dude commented and was like, "Bro, take that stupid hat off." And I was like, "No."
Nice.
And now it's here. I'm that petty. I honestly have no idea. Once again, my marketing brain goes into the color and the hat is brand recognition. So I did a test where I wore this hat, which is similar but has the beak, and I wore it around FD, and people recognize the color more than the hat itself. So the color is more recognizable than the actual like container. I think I had a ball cap at one point too that had teal on it, and people, as soon as they saw the teal, knew it was me. So I don't know if the color can change, but there have been a lot of comments about bringing back bucket hats. And I did rock a bucket hat for at least 1 year in grade 6. So I might do that.
You even wore it at Orlando. How
I did.
You don't.
It sucked.
Orlando wasn't that bad this year.
Yeah,
No.
but I'm just like
Utah.
Jersey sucked.
New Jersey was the worst.
Jersey sucked.
Yeah.
I owe that to working in kitchens for a long time. And I used to wear toques in kitchens because it's really good at wicking sweat away. And then when you take it off, like you walk into the walk-in cooler and you take a hat off and you've been sweating. It's magical.
It really
so
is.
I think I've just gotten used to it. I also have naturally very greasy hair. Like if I don't shower every other day, like, listen, I know, like, sometimes you go 3 days. It happens. We've all been there.
Yeah.
My hair is bad. Like, it's flat and, like, it's shiny.
Wow.
So I used to wear toques because it would just kind of keep that away. So,
Interesting.
that was a part of it. So I ball caps, like I got like a trucker cap here. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I can. I wear them. If I'm not at FD, I don't wear the hat. It's not like I wear this around everywhere.
And it's just cool 'cause you still do have a full head of hair.
Oh yeah, it's glorious. I could say would it ruin everything if I just take the hat off right now?
Nah, you don't want to take it off. It's like
I gotta keep the illusion.
It's like taking Spider-Man's like mask off or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
You guys all know. You've seen it. Like I don't have a receding hair. I got a bit of a widow's peak, but that's it.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
He's doing better than us.
Sorry, Herbie.
Yeah, you're talking to the 2 stages right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah has a wig on, so
I dye mine, so I can't talk. This
You
is
really?
Not my hair color.
Is that your natural hair color?
No,
What's
it's
your natural hair
brown.
color? Okay.
Yeah,
Pretty boring
She's
brown.
really
I
not that
was like-
exciting. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm actually super, super boring. No, I am. I
Super.
go to work, do my second job, come home to my cat.
dye my hair red.
Riveting.
Dye
Dye
my
my hair
hair
red for a little spice.
She is one of those
Weekly.
cat ladies, that's for sure.
Sundays get wild.
Yeah, go birds.
Oh man.
Again.
Yeah, so I'm undecided as to what my head attire will be in Europe. I'm really not sure.
Yeah,
Are you
well,
taking suggestions from
I am.
the chat
I'm-
or your fans?
Oh,
Very
should
much
do-
taking
You
suggestions.
could do like
Okay.
an RTR thing, like a how they get like the best designed discs for their car, but you can do like a vote and who has the best designed hat using your color. I'll take
That's interesting.
10% of whatever.
Shockingly, we sold a decent amount of toques last year.
Really?
Like more
People
than I
love
thought
that.
we would. Yeah.
where do
Listen,
people get those at?
You can get them at shopfd.com and you can get them at 144 Printhouse.
Okay.
So Nate Hamilton is the one that does a lot of the work for me, all the packaging and shipping. So I like to support small businesses and other drifters, and then FD carries it, and I'm pushing to get them over to Europe. It's not done yet. The deal's not done. We're still talking, but I would like to ship over like a few hundred to Drift Masters.
Once you step off that plane, they're gonna be like, "Damn, all right, we're in."
Yeah.
So there's your answer. You got to keep it.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. We'll see. I've had a lot of requests for black ones because a few people have bought these, and like I went through several samples to get to this one, and a few of my friends have them and like, man, I really like it, but I hate the color, and I'm like, that's fair. It's a lot. It's a lot of color.
Yeah.
So I might do like a run of black ones with like a teal logo instead.
That'd be
So
cool.
that might be the next run.
Yeah, that's sick.
Jennifer Martin
So-
I was going to say, Jennifer
Go
Martin in
ahead.
the chat, I was told to ask Jacob about his travel luggage.
Is that code for something?
No, I am a luggage slut. I love bags.
Love that.
Yeah,
Who's laughing in the background?
it's probably my family who are back there. No, because they know you ask me about a backpack and I will not shut up for like an hour. I will tell you everything about that backpack.
Yeah.
So I have one particular brand that I'm addicted to, which is a brand called Nomadic, which I got hooked on because they partnered with a photographer named Peter McKinnon, who's Canadian, probably one of the biggest camera YouTubers out there. He created, I would still argue, the best camera bag ever made. I bought it one year. I still have it. It has gone with me on almost every single trip, and literally nothing has broken on it. There is no rips. There is no, there's a couple of scratches. The zippers all work. Everything works. It is incredible. Now, it is a $400 backpack.
Spicy.
But as Nate can attest to, you can, it is one of those things you buy once, cry once. So once I was indoctrinated into the Nomadic cult, I now own their full-size luggage, their carry-on, a backpack, a laptop sleeve, their pants, which are incredible, this little tech case, my toiletry bag. I'm right in there. I love everything they put out.
You're a full nomad.
Full
Nice.
nomad. I love all their shit. I'm looking to see if I have like a nomadic thing nearby, but it's all just out of reach. But yeah, it's great. It's really good quality stuff.
So, but you're not a person that has like 4 bags of luggage to go on a trip?
Well,
or
when I go to FD, like everybody who goes to FD normally like packs very light, so they don't have to like get a check bag.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm always the asshole who gets the check bag, so I have to bring like the mics and the camera and all that stuff.
Okay, yeah.
So they'll all have to wait for me because I'll be in like a rental car, and they're like, "We're gonna go get the rental car." I'm like, "I'm gonna stand here and wait for my luggage for the next 45 minutes." And they're like, "We're out front." I'm like, "I still don't see my luggage," and like I'm that guy on the trip that they're like waiting for. But I'm always like apologetic, and then like we have to leave the hotel, and I've got my full-size luggage and my backpack and my laptop bag, and I'm like waddling out to the car to like shove everything in the back of the SUV. I'm like, "Hey, do you mind? Like, can you put this on your lap because I need room for this bag and my hard case that's got the mics in it." Like, it's I'm trying to reduce that, but it's really hard to.
Yeah. Well, that is. Well, speaking of mics, is the little podcast you do after FD? Yeah. Is that is that just your thing that you put on?
Yeah, that's just me. The whole thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's not like incorporated with the FD media team or anything like that, or they.
No. Okay. I'm solo doing that. Like basically, I'll bring up the podcast setup to the booth.
Yeah.
For the final, for the top 16, so it's sitting in the booth with me, and it all lives in like a big hard case essentially. So yeah, and then you almost sometimes before Jared's even done speaking, I'm out of the booth with my hard case trying to run through the fans to get to the podium to set everything up, and it's like single camera, tripod, the Podcaster Pro P4, and then the headsets, and it's the same headsets that we use during the broadcast, which are Sennheiser something 400s, so they're like broadcast quality.
They're really nice,
but then the upside is they're stupid expensive, but like they sound amazing, and they're very like isolated. So even with everybody like yelling and everybody around, because like there'll be like a solid few dozen people that hang out and watch the show afterwards. It's not like a big crowd, but it's like the diehards.
And they'll all and they've been drinking and partying.
Yes, they have. They get rowdy.
Atlanta.
So yeah. So yeah, it's a cool little setup, but yeah, I one man show it. I mean, I don't know. I'm too polite, I guess, to like ask for help. I'm like, no, I can do it. Let me just carry this giant bag down and run through the crowd to like set everything up by myself. Sometimes Nate will run security for me, move some fences around. Usually you and I get to hang out before the podium starts, and it's like our kind of like our weekends get together.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like he shoves me into all the crowd.
Yeah. And then Nate's back there hanging out.
Yeah. Nate will he'll text me or call me afterwards. He'd be like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm just leaving the thing." He's like, "Yeah, I'm right outside of it." I'm like, "Well, you knew where I was. You're like the government."
You're like the government. Amazing.
Hey, I just have to keep you alive for the weekend, okay? And I can barely keep myself alive, so that's the challenge.
It's a test to see if I'm gonna lie to you, and I never do.
Good manager. That's what it is. That's good manager.
Exactly. The funny thing is then I have my other managers that have to keep me alive during the weekend. So
who asked about the luggage? Now I'm curious.
Jennifer Martin.
Okay. It's here my wife laughing. I was curious if she like infiltrated the chat. So.
Maybe.
I think she was in there. I did see her comment.
Yeah.
There's a JW as well. The travel luggage comment as well. Local Cereal asks, when are you going to Sweden to visit Olaf?
Is that Olaf asking? As soon as he pays for my flight. No, I don't know. I don't know. I would like to go back ice drifting. I had the pleasure of going in Norway. I didn't go in Sweden ice drifting, and it's like one of those dying to get back things, but it all just comes down to time. I mean, I might be able to kind of pack it in. Finland's kind of close. Like I could potentially stick around and just head over, but Olaf can come visit me. He's got to come to America. He's working with a bunch of teams here.
Yeah.
So
airplanes work both ways.
Yeah. Olaf.
That is true.
Snowman. That's the problem. He can't leave there because he's a snowman.
That's true.
He's
got his sim. He's got the ice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was curious. I think I saw you posting a bit about a project car. Do you have any projects going on that you just you hate yourself and you have no time that you want to tell us about?
I have 3 project cars right now.
Okay.
Are you sure my wife's not in the chat right now?
And we were wondering, Do you have any pronouns?
Accepts Zelle payment and then asks that question. I have two proteges. I have a protege 5, which is a really nice white hatchback, and then I had the protege I brought down, which is a Mazda.
For those that
Speed
don't
Swap.
know, it's a Mazda.
How do you say it, Sarah? You're from the East Coast.
It's Mazda. I grew up in Jersey, but I talk enough on camera that I can't have an accent.
Got it.
Catch me a couple beers in, we'll see how.
Oh, I've seen it. I've heard the accent.
Easy
Mazda.
So two Mazdas or Mazdas or Mazda. What do you say? Do you say Molk?
Milk?
This guy. Yeah.
Cheap dig.
It was
I'm
good.
embarrassed. I have that project, and then I just bought a G35 that already has the burble tune installed. It came with it, I swear. So that's the get back behind the wheel so people can stop bitching about he knows nothing about drifting comment. No, I literally live 20 minutes from OSW, and it is a crime not to have a drift car living that close to OSW. So it's pretty much ready to go. It's an old like Drift HQ LZ car. I think it was a rental car for a little bit, but it's got angle, diff brace, welded diff, hydro, steering wheel, seats, harnesses. Like it's
everything you need.
Grassroots car. It is perfect and ready to go. It looks like shit. I'm working on that. I'm probably just going to trim clad, Wagner power sprayer the whole thing and call it a day.
That's great.
Yeah, because ugly drift cars are out and pretty ones are in, which makes me sweaty.
I love ugly drift cars, though.
Sarah's
there's your hot take.
Oh, love an ugly drift car.
What would be your favorite one over the years? You have like some
Jonathan Hurst livery that looked like a fishing lure.
Okay.
That was one of the coolest liveries. Ugly drift cars that I've seen like in person, pretty much all of mine. My personal favorite drift car was my old 88 Thunderbird Turbo Coupe, because it's basically a Fox body Mustang between the pillars, but it has like 5 feet out the front and 5 feet out the back extra. And it looked like a hunk of shit. It was like hearing aid brown, and it was so cool. I miss that car a lot, but the whole subframe literally fell out of it, loading it onto the trailer at its last event. So just Canada problems. Yeah. Lots of rust.
Yeah. Welcome to the rust. Yeah.
Anything weird and like strange is what I'm into. Like I get BMWs, I get S chassis, Corvettes, all that stuff. All of that makes sense. It's practical. It works. Totally understand. You bring out a Volvo that I've never heard of before. I will ask you so many questions about that car. You will not be able to get me to leave your pits. And if it's diesel, I am your new best friend. I'm setting up camp. I will barbecue for you all weekend. If you have a weird diesel drift car, I am your new best friend, whether you
heard
like
him, guys.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, there's plenty of that over in Europe, so I'm sure you're going to have a whole lot of fun.
I almost bought one in Germany. To the point where I called my wife and said, hey, we're selling our house soon, so we're going to have some extra money. Would you be mad? I worked out shipping. I got all the way to the point of like ready to send this guy money. That's how close I got.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, Don Drifts in the chat asks, Jacob, do you want to announce your virtual drift competition? You're not booked enough this year, it seems.
I can't talk about it, but I am doing one virtual drift competition this year.
Oh,
that has not been announced.
So. I wonder what it could be.
I don't think it's even been talked about yet.
It hasn't been.
If you want to know, you must follow him on social media and wait until he makes the announcement, everyone.
Yeah.
Would you like to shout out your channels real quick?
Yeah.
You can find me as above 3,200 followers or something. It's Jacob Gettins pretty much across the board. Although my Instagram is still Jacko13, which is like my old like gamer handle. I should probably change that.
Nice.
YouTube channel is probably the big one.
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely. And obviously you were posting content all over the place for various different things. I feel like it's not just.
I need to do it more though.
Yeah. Well,
honestly, if you want to have the most fun, follow my stories, because I get really fucking weird in the stories.
Dude, that's what the stories are for.
Yeah, they disappear.
All the shit posting.
I was gonna post one tonight where my Amazon guy threw my package at my garbage can, and it looked like a punk rock album. Like he took the photo. He took the photo, and it looked like the package was still in flight when he took the photo of it.
That's great.
And I came inside and I immediately showed all of my family, like, tell me this doesn't look like a rock album of some kind.
Yeah.
So they just put up with me, but I post that kind of shit. And then you can see how bad I am at hockey too. Because I will be like, stoked for hockey tonight. And then like an hour and a half later, it's like, got blown out of the water 10-2, but at least I made 10 saves. Like that's
Are you a goalie?
I am.
Oh, nice.
That's why that
Wasn't
explains a
weirdo
lot,
already.
honestly. It explains a lot for people that don't know hockey.
Yeah.
It explains everything, actually.
Hockey goalies come in two flavors. We're either quiet psychopaths or we don't stop talking. And I bet you can figure out which one I got.
Yeah.
The first one.
Laughing into the cup.
Yeah. So have they talked to you about making hockey references during FD? Because you've done it a couple times. And they're like,
No, it hasn't
they're like,
come
you
up.
know,
I mean,
people down here probably don't know what you're talking about.
I've had very few critiques
Okay.
on my announcing from FD staff. Every once in a while, like Sage is very involved. Like Ryan Sage is incredibly involved in the sport in the series. He'll be like, hey, you said this thing, maybe try to frame this differently, or like don't shit on a sponsor, or which is a real conversation that happened. I don't think I'm allowed to get into the details, but I said something not very nice about a sponsor unintentionally. But yeah, I mean, there's been very little. What I do honestly is I will take the entire transcript from an event, run it through ChatGPT, and be like, how many times did I repeat words to see if I'm constantly using the same phrases and stuff over again.
Which
so I'll do that.
As humans. We do as humans, you know.
I do.
Yeah.
100%.
So that's a really, really humbling thing is to go through and we all hate hearing our own voices, but I have to hear it constantly.
Oh, it's awful.
It's so bad. But I have to critique myself and when I'm announcing to make sure that I'm not repeating, I'm not doing a lot of uhs or likes. When I get really excited, I do a lot of likes or uhs.
Yeah.
So I have to try and fix that and try not to stumble over my words. Or there's a speech pattern that I use intentionally and unintentionally, which is double backing on myself, where it'll start into a phrase, get you to the point where you're really excited to hear more, and then actually draw back to explain something else to then come back to it. And it's a literary device that I use in speaking that I didn't know I did, but in analyzing this and the way that I speak, I found this out, which was kind of cool. So it's a way of keeping people's attention. And it's probably something I fell into doing improv, where you need to keep the attention on you, but you have to be able to break away to add something to the story to give context. So I do it a lot. It can be really frustrating for some people because I'll get to the point where it's like, okay, and I'm like, but then I need to tell you about my grade 3 graduation. And
I think repeating can be good sometimes. Like in the instance where, I mean, Jared's been doing it for so long. He's got a few catchphrases, which are good, like send it, you know, obviously. And then I always love his "Oh Doctors," because that's how you can tell the run was just so spicy. And I'm wondering if you think you have started to have any, or maybe you're like, they haven't emerged yet, is what I think.
No, I don't have a catchphrase yet, which is something I'm aware of and slightly self-conscious about. I think it's something that just happens naturally.
Yes, I was just going to say that. You can't force it.
No, no,
Magic
it
man.
will.
Now you
No,
now you don't.
it's
tell the day nice reference.
I wanted to make there's an announcer that used to work for the Toronto Maple Leafs, hockey reference. And when the play got really exciting, he would say "Holy Mackinaw," and it would be like "Holy Mackinaw," and it was so good. And I grew up on it, and I threw it into one event, and I just clipped it and sent it to my dad because my dad always wanted to be an announcer, and he's a huge hockey fan.
Great.
So like, I threw it into an event and just sent it to him. He's like, "You did it." And I'm like, I got "Holy Mackinaw" in there. So yeah, that one would be cool, but I don't want to steal it. Although I believe "Oh Doctor" is something Jared used from an MLB announcer, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember who it is.
Interesting.
It sounds like always a replacement for like "holy shit," which is good because it's a clean way to express like, damn, that was crazy, you know?
Yeah. I've had to cut down. I'm conscious of not saying "God damn it." Like that's one I use a lot. And being in the southern half of the United States, I realize some people take that term a little bit more seriously than others. So
It's true.
That's true. That's true.
yeah, or just Jesus Christ. That's the other one.
Yeah.
You guys know me in person. I swear a lot. So
Well,
to go 6 hours of broadcast,
you're Canadian, so it checks out.
Yeah, we do
I
swear.
thought they were supposed to be
you-
the nice ones. The oh, sorry.
No, but they swear
No,
a lot,
very
but they're still
passive-aggressive.
nice. Yeah.
Very
So
passive aggressive.
You not seen like Letterkenny? Like,
Love Letterkenny.
yeah, exactly.
Give your balls a tug.
So let's see.
We're never losing again. We say that in hockey all the time. Then we lose every game. I'm laughing so I don't cry.
What Celine Drift asks, what can FD do to make your dream come true as an announcer for the series? What is your one wish?
Oh man. Give me every camera angle in real time in front of me. Like we
How about in-car
have
cameras?
it, but we don't. I don't know if that would help or make it worse. I really don't know.
I brought it up to Reese, and he said it would help.
I believe it would help with judging. I don't know if it would help with announcing.
I feel like your ideal setup is like NASA launch, like
Yes.
moon landing, and there's just screens.
Yeah, where you have
everywhere.
like 30,000 different options.
I have
but in
4
this case, like,
screens at this desk alone. And that'll give you an idea of how obsessed I am with like getting to see everything. When we had the hurricane come in, I had a weather station in my office. Every screen in the house had some different radar or newscast going. So yes, but I would love nothing more than a 70-inch TV directly in front of me with every camera angle that we have available that I can just like do one of these and talk. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
how many do you have? Is that something you could disclose or?
I have basically what you see during the broadcast is what I see.
Just real time.
There are a few other things that we're able to view, but really, it's what you guys see. It's which is, in my opinion, really good because then I'm commentating and talking about the stuff that you guys would want. Actually, scratch that idea. I don't want a giant screen. I just want to be able to draw on the screen. That's it.
Okay, football does it.
100%. I want to be able to like just arrows and circles and rhombuses and whatever other shape I can figure out to like explain stuff, because while I'm doing it, I am poking the screen the entire time.
Yeah.
You guys can see what I'm looking at, right? It's right there. It's that. It's right there. Just you gotta zoom in a little bit.
How do you not see it?
Our boy's got a dodecahedron on the screen. Just all the sides.
Jared and I, the director / producer is a guy named Kemp. Fantastic dude. He's like a legend in broadcasting. I will get on the mic and yell at him to like go back to a replay. And I'm like, Kemp, we have to go back. We have to go back. I have to explain this. And he'll be like, bro, just calm down. We'll get there. Like he's so soothing and calm, and like everything could be on fire. Like when the broadcast has an issue, fun fact, we're all aware. You don't need to message me. You don't need to try and call me and be like, the broadcast went down. You don't think I know? You don't think there's an entire truck of people who are afraid to lose their jobs in that moment because something got unplugged? We're all aware. We're 100% aware there's an issue. So like,
do you enjoy the fire the interns running joke, or does that annoy you?
Because sometimes I'm the intern. I'll misspell something on like a podcast description and someone will point it out, and I'll be the first one to comment, fire the interns. Meanwhile, I'm the intern. Like favorite, maybe my favorite FD meme of all time is fire the interns.
And it's kind of an OG reference. Like, how far does that go back? Like, I feel like I was in high school when it was like it began.
Probably 8 or 9 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it started with like the graphics guy was like getting
Yeah.
the wrong driver and like the wrong name and shit like that.
Yeah.
I believe he actually did get fired. It was
Hilarious.
before my time, but that intern may have actually gotten fired.
They might have been having too much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if they should be giving you the screen because local Serio just commented. He's like, Jacob be drawing tiny weenies while trying to explain calls.
That would be scary.
Unintentionally. I'd be like, okay, look at this front wheel. Now look
Yeah,
at this
you
front wheel.
circle-
And then I'm going to point to the back.
And all the tension in the center is just rising.
Yeah.
Just like, look at the way that this chassis is curving and just shooting out this way. Yeah, it would.
Just lifting this one wheel out.
Look
in
at
this
the path. And then look at all these curls of smoke back here. Yeah, it would be an issue.
Jared's just burning a hole through the side of your head as
No.
you're drawing.
He is so good at sliding in
Yeah.
the most ridiculous shit
Oh,
that
it's
only
good.
a few people catch.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love.
You listen and you're like, pause.
Oh yeah.
Like, he does get a lot of shit, but he is unmatched. Like we were talking about before.
Right.
He's got good jokes.
Allegedly, this may or may not happen, where on events that are maybe not as exciting, we may or may not allegedly play a game where we try and challenge each other with different words to try and slide into the broadcast to keep things spicy.
So you're
Allegedly.
saying meow?
But like arbitrage or like something ridiculous, like 10-letter minimum,
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff. Not meow. Like meow's some basic shit.
I literally have a
I'll leave that to the cops. Yeah.
I have a comment here. My guy Jacob loves the word juxtapose.
I do love juxtaposition and juxtaposed. Yeah. That's when I just slide in naturally. That's
That's
not
a
even a
tough
commitment for me. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
there's
funny.
my family will laugh, but the hardest thing for me to say is genuinely afraid. As you can hear them in the background.
It's a bit of a tongue twister.
I struggled
Genuinely
one night.
afraid, huh?
Genuinely afraid. I struggled one night for probably 2 hours to say that. And I kept saying like genuinely afraid, and I couldn't get it. And I was so mad.
Nice.
There are words that I just can't, like, I just talk around them. I'm like, same way, I'm not good at spelling.
No.
I
neither.
find other words.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm so bad at spelling that spell check can't even help me. So I just find another word.
Oh man.
That's great.
Wow.
But,
Yeah.
hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
That's hilarious, man.
Like modern problems require modern
Yeah.
solutions.
If it makes you feel any better, I frequently misspell exhaust.
That's a bad one for your job.
I know because
You
it's
sell those.
and I am the one that types on the internet about them a lot, so I check that word all the time.
Fun fact, you can start a custom chat GPT that's just spell check and just keep it open on your computer all day, because that's what I do.
My boomer ass is gonna look into that because
Yeah. Bro, we're the same age. You can't
I know,
can't
but I
boomer me.
have this,
Don't
like,
boomer me.
I have this
Can't
weird
boomer me.
technology block where I just should know more as a millennial, and I just get so stupid.
I'm the
with it.
opposite.
So I have this like fancy microphone, right?
She does drive an LS powered S13, so
This
that
is
does
true.
this
is true.
explain a lot.
Hit it with a hammer. Got it.
Yes.
And there's no dashboard either because I don't know how to wire it in, bro. So you ask me how fast am I going, and I'm going to tell you top of third because that's all the information that I have. I have water temp, I have oil pressure.
That's all you need, really. That's it.
You're not wrong.
And it's an LS, so it's pegged at 240 the whole time.
Yeah, dude, that's operating temp. No, I don't take the
10
run over
PSI. 240, 10 PSI, good to go. Like,
Whatever.
That actually,
Yeah.
so that kind of actually brings up something interesting. So, what would you do in a scenario where a team is going through it? Like, for example, when Odie was going through the motors at the end of the season, how do you talk about something like that without making people upset, but you still want to give people a breakdown?
yeah, that's actually a good one. That's tough. I will go directly to the driver and just ask, like, how do you need this covered? What do you need right now? Because obviously me just going and talking about your motors breaking is not good for the people that are funding those boners. Like,
Right.
how do you want to talk about it? So if you watch the way Odie articulates that, and I believe everything he's saying. I'm not saying like this is him,
We
frosting
had
the
him on
problem.
like, what was it?
last week, right?
Yeah.
We talked
Yeah.
about it for a long time, but
And-
yeah.
And he what he said is that the cars are really gripped up. We have to run them harder than we ever have. We are running lower tire pressures. We are more aggressive with the alignment, more aggressive with the suspension. That is more load on the engine. And realistically, we went through the same issue with transmissions and differentials about 6-7 years ago, where guys were blowing diffs every single round. Like that was it. It was happening all the time. Then a couple of companies came in, built a stronger product. Cool. Now we put in more grip. The next thing to go is the engines.
Yep.
Axles was another one. Axles about 12 years ago, right? Drivers are blowing axles and CV shafts constantly. So for me, I just go right to the driver. How do you want this covered? What do you need me to say that's going to make this okay? I need to explain it. I need to talk about it. Let's have a discussion about how you want it covered, because I can't just be like, no, that wasn't his engine. That mystery fire, all that oil. No, that's just a normal thing that LSs do. Moving on.
Like, he's really ill right now. He'll be all right though, he said after this event.
Yeah. No, I just am very candid with them and say, there's no hiding, there's a problem here. So how are we going to talk about this? Because I have to. It's my job.
Yeah.
And they're usually pretty good. I'll try and let them talk about it more. Like Lorette's really good at bringing that in and just letting them speak about it, and then I can kind of just parrot what they say. Really. So I'll listen to what they say in that interview if I don't have a chance to talk to them first, and then it more or less just parrot it or agree or support and be like, he's right. Like we're barely getting 2 laps out of tires now. These are the best the tires have ever been. We're barely getting laps out. That means that there's more stress on these components. It's incredible they even last a round. Look at drag racing. They run one lap, one pole,
one
right?
path. Yeah.
We got drivers that are going an entire season on an engine. That's incredible. So
no, you're right. And
you guys spun that?
Yeah. Well,
Nice.
I mean, we talked to him about it too, and he said it the same thing, just like that. I was like,
and what he's saying is wrong either.
Yeah.
Like it's correct. It's
Yeah. No, I mean, if some dude's just driving down straight of the track and just veers off in the wrong direction and goes into the barriers, that's hard to defend.
right.
I might suggest that they blew a tie rod, but I'm going to go and be like, bro, what happened? And it's like, I have no idea. And I'm like, you should probably seek medical attention because that's not good.
Yeah.
Like,
I lagged out.
you should talk to somebody about this.
Yeah.
Because if you just blacked out, you probably shouldn't be driving. Not that that's a real scenario, but
right.
Yeah.
Local Serio says, I would love to see more behind the scenes of Jacob and Jared announcing. There was a little bit of that with Jared's filming this year, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I was trying to figure out this year how to vlog the events and stuff. And I did a few where I just set up the camera where we're announcing, and you can see how intense my face gets and how beet red I get when I get really into it. There's not a lot, to be honest. I don't know. I walk in the booth. My man Ed has got my drinks laid out for me. Ed is just the general helper around FD. If you're into FD, you know who Ed is. Yep. He's the first guy to give you a hug. He knows everything about you. He remembers everything about you. He is one of the coolest people I know. I love Ed. So I really hope he's listening. Ed knows exactly what I like to drink. And it is there. I don't ask. I don't tell. I show up in the booth, and there's 3 cold waters and 2 sugar-free rock stars at my desk. My bracket is there. My schedule is there. And there's a pen. And I'm like, holy shit. That's how it goes. And I get up there. I have my notes. Sometimes a tablet, sometimes my phone. I sit down. Jared and I will shoot the shit for a little bit. We'll get the director counting us down. We have a particular catchphrase that I'm not allowed to say on air. We'll fist bump, and then show opens and we go. It's our secret. I'm not willing to share that, but him and I say the exact same thing to each other before we go on air every time, and it's pretty ridiculous, but it's our thing.
Hell yeah. That's good to have, though.
Yeah, it's great, and because we know,
we know shakes you off. It's like, all right.
It's like the trigger. We know it's game time. That's it. Once that phrase has been uttered, I'll tell you guys off air. But once that phrase has been uttered, that's it. We're in. We're locked in. We hear Kemp. He'll be like, okay, we're going in 5, 4. We hear that countdown, and it's like, go. welcome to Formula Drift. And then Jared goes, and I'm just like, all right, let's go, baby. And then I'm going, and I'm like smiling. I'm usually doing this in the chair too. Like I'm like bouncing because I've pounded both of those rock stars already.
Oh yeah.
And then, I mean, the most exciting thing is like when my tiny bladder fails me and I have to run to the bathroom in between runs. That's the most exciting things to get. Sorry to bust anybody's bubble.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm just kind of trying to read through chat. It's a lot of fun stuff being said.
Oh God.
Yeah. What is it like working with Lorette?
Oh, it's great. She's like my little confidant. Like with all the career stuff and like the announcing stuff and all of that, she has been super supportive. Just like person to person. Her and I do a she has taught me that the finest thing you can do in travel is to go to a Delta lounge and drink free champagne. So if we are ever at the lounge at the same time, that is like our go-to, is we will go and have a glass of champagne together. And she's really good to bounce stuff off of, especially, just trying to figure out, like, is this what I want to do? Like, if I want to be an announcer, how do I do that? What's the path? How do I make this happen? What's the good? What's the bad? How do I travel? How do I work with like rewards programs to make sure that I'm getting my best bang for buck, stuff like that. And then like the actual working on the mic and stuff like that, she can hear the broadcast the entire time. So we'll get a cue from the director who will be like, we're going to throw down to Lorette in 15 or something, right? So I know we have 15 seconds. So that's our cue to kind of prime her and read her into it. So then she knows that this is what's going on, and then she can pick up from there. But like to work with, phenomenal. Absolutely. Some of the most fun we had was we did like a FD live in St. Louis for ProSpec, where we were just in the paddock. It was just her and I was holding the phone, just holding the live stream, and she was going through the paddock. It was great. Like we had a whole afternoon. We just did that. So cool. I love Lorette. Yeah, big fan.
Awesome. Tony asks in the chat, does Jacob think FD should use the Wally Drift Data Visualizer by Race Data Labs that is used in Drift Masters and OIDC to help with some of the judging?
So help, yes, I agree with that. To take over, no. Great example. How many camera issues did you have this year, Nate?
In terms of...
Well, we only, honestly, I think the only camera issue was really the mic for some reason the last round, right?
But like corrupted files, batteries gone.
Oh, I mean, like speaking for myself, my hard drives, they decided this year to really put me for a run for my money of mental capacity because good golly.
So a piece of technology that you rely on to do your job failed.
Yeah.
Weird.
Not good. Yeah.
So to replace judges, no. I can't see it. I can't see it. To aid, I would like to see it aided in disputes and contacts first.
Yeah, well, that's
then
what the
we can have a
conversation
conversation
to help the judges.
Yes. Yeah, I just want a distinct, I want like a really distinct line in the sand with it, because it's very easy to go like, yeah, that stuff would help. 100%. I don't think it can take over. Could it one day? Maybe. I don't know. I can't say one way or another for sure, but for right now, I've yet to work with it. I'll probably work with it a bit at Drift Masters. I've worked pretty heavily with all the stuff that FD is doing. I've seen a lot of the development stuff that is not public yet. That's pretty wild. It's very similar in a different vein and in a different way. And yeah, I agree. It can definitely help, but I wouldn't make it a third judge or a fourth judge. I would use it to be like, this is why contact occurred. I wouldn't even
factual evidence almost in a way.
I wouldn't even use it to say this person did better than that person, because we strive so much for the opinion of the sport that we're removing the opinion, and that I think takes something away from it. It would also pretty much definitively take away one more times.
Yeah.
Which is arguably the best part. Like a good one more time. Oh, like
a good one more time.
A good one more time. Yes.
One of them.
100%. Not a bad one more time.
No,
But, like,
honestly, like
battle
if,
where you're
if
like
they're good, like who was it at Orlando? They did a few one more time.
think it was-
Sorensen and Shanahan.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I would have watched
Yeah.
that all day long.
All night, baby.
Like
I
honestly, like that was unreal to me.
until
Like,
we ran out
seeing-
of tires in Florida, I would sit and watch that. It was
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. So like in that circumstance, yeah, one more time. All
We
day.
would have been robbed of that.
Yeah.
We would have been robbed of that.
Yeah, because it would have been 51 to 49.
Yeah.
Or yep.
Iron Drift King, which had, was it 5 or 7 judges and a points-based system, solely points-based system, still had one more times.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, Reese was there,
Yeah.
and he was telling me about it. It was like it was really
they
interesting.
still had one more times.
Yeah.
It can still happen. But that proved to me very definitively that judges know what they're doing. That we were that close. We increased the variables exponentially twice by adding that many more judges. We made it a complete points-based deduction system. So everybody starts with 100, you lose points based on all that stuff. And they still came to the same conclusion. What else do you need to know? If you want to get my goat, you want to piss me off?
Yeah.
Start shitting on the judges we have right now. I am
hate
so
it.
defensive of them. It's crazy. I got so defensive that once again, Ryan Sage had to calm me down. Where he's like, "Bro, they can handle themselves." I'm like, "No, this isn't fair." These are like I got heated this year over it because I'm like, look at that roster. It has everything everybody has ever asked for. You have an ex-pro driver in Robbie Nishida. You have somebody who has watched more drifting than probably any other human being in the world in Vernon, right? You have Brian, who is an event organizer, has been around drifting forever, has written so much of the judging rulebook, and was taught by one of the best judges we've ever had. I don't care what you say in Ryan Lontaine. And then you have Reese, who is a drifting instructor, a winning drifter himself, and, I don't know, a spotter of the year for one of the greatest champions we've ever had.
Yeah.
What else do you want? Like, what else do you want?
I don't know. I don't know if I trust that Reese guy. It's kind of questionable, to be honest.
Oh, I trust that dude with my life. If Reese, if I bet you, if I called Reese right now and said, "Bro, I'm in trouble," he'd be like, "I'm on a plane," like 100%.
Yeah,
He would be at my house so quick and
That
like
East
ready
Coast
to do
Philly
whatever.
Love would be coming to do whatever he needed. What do you need me to bring?
After Atlanta, him and I roomed together in Atlanta, and we found out that each other loves like Japanese anime, and we have been best friends ever since.
Yeah, there's always something that I do learn about like the dudes that like you think are like, the higher up, and like I've known Reese for a very long time, like just taking him as an example, and it's like you're just one of us.
Oh, he's a big nerd. He's a
Bro,
big
yeah.
nerd. Big lovable nerd.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wouldn't fuck with him. I wouldn't want to
No.
see him in a dark alley, but he's a big lovable nerd.
Oh man,
Oh gosh.
good times, man. Good times.
He's gonna kill me.
He's Philly, so he'll give it to you to your face, and behind your back, he'll be like, "I love that guy."
Bro, I got a rep. I can't have people coming up to me asking me One Piece questions. I can't. That can't happen, bro. That can't happen. That's exactly how that's gonna go.
Yeah.
You do got Yogi asking, why do you have such a sweet raspy voice?
Oh, real story. This real story. I tried to learn how to sing opera, and I fucked my vocal cords up.
Really?
Yep. I
Wow.
was working. I was working at a restaurant in Vaughan, which is just outside Toronto, that was owned by a bunch of Russians. It's a really long story. It turned out to be a money laundering scheme. I had no idea, but I was getting paid cash, so I didn't
it
ask
checks
questions.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the owners was a Russian opera singer, and her husband was a Russian circus performer, Alexander Olyenkov, if you want to look him up. And
Should you be giving us this information, bro?
yeah, it's fine.
Okay,
That's
all right.
fine. I think he's in Vancouver. Starlight Productions or something. Anyways, I was really, and still am, into metal, really into Kill Switch Engaged at the time. And I was like, I would love to be able to do Howard Johnson's vocals. They're incredible. I don't understand how he can scream and have these like operatic, like they're the cover of Holy Diver, or like it's just anything he does is incredible. And she's like, oh, I teach you that. And I'm like, no, you can't. She's like, I was opera singer. I teach you that. And I'm like, okay. She's like, we have many rules. No dairy, no ice, and you warm up for an hour. And I'm like, I have to warm up for an hour? She's like, or you sound like shit. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I followed all the rules. I started to learn how to sing opera. And then I got really drunk one night at a party. And, I'm like 19, 20 years old. And I'm like, I can sing opera. And they're like, no, you can't. Watch me. And I went to do something and it just went, and that was it. And I tore a vocal cord.
Damn.
And ever since I've had this weird rasp in my voice. Because you get rid of this, I'm just nasally and gross. And it's a really bad voice. The only saving grace is that I sound like I might be able to do a Chevy commercial.
Dude, honestly, though, like, talk about a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Thank God for partying a little.
There are, right?
You know?
I mean, led to a couple of kids too. It's crazy.
No laugh in the background on that one.
Oh no, there is. I can feel the stare through the wall into the back of my neck. The peanut gallery is great for this episode. Where was I going with this? There are videos online where you can hear me before. I had like a deep voice as a kid, but it got like nasally. It's still very like back of the palate. Yeah. And then, just the constant sound like I'm about to clear my throat just adds to it.
Nice. Well, hey, it worked out for you. Immigrant forces ass. And we got a bunch of questions in the chat that I want to try and hit, and we're almost at 2 hours already. So. I'll
be quicker. All right. Rapid fire. Let's do this.
Can we not have a collaboration between Drift Masters and Formula Drift, like a USA versus Europe Champions League type of stuff?
I would be shocked if it doesn't happen in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
We have so many European drivers in FD, though. We have so many European drivers.
Yeah, but I think it's almost like it's just, but the different title. I think that's almost inevitable.
I
at this
would
point.
love,
too much
and
talk.
I will work my ass off in whatever capacity to get a FD versus Drift Masters event to happen.
Yeah.
It's not something, I'm not saying like anything is planned or scheduled, but like if it comes up and they're like, we need somebody to like carry, crates of things 100 miles. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. If that's going to help make this happen, I will do it. But what I will say is it is clear that they are friendly because this year, both schedules don't overlap. Coincidence?
Yeah. I'm going no.
I'm sure there were plenty of drivers that were annoyed that it wasn't. Like, in last year,
so, why not?
So it was like...
James Dean, Connor Shanahan, Adam LZ.
Mm-hmm. Some big names that are like, seriously, guys? Like, seriously? Yeah.
That's gotta help.
Yogi also asks, so who is hosting this podcast? And I don't know.
Not me. I'm off the clock, man. It's a
How do you
bold move
feel as a guest?
To be fair, I usually talk like way less than whoever's on here. Like that's obviously the goal. It's like I'm just let whoever go. Like you just ask them a question, then they just start going for their life story for the like next 20 minutes, and I'm like, oh, we're at 2 hours. Cool. It's been great though. Like honestly, it's been so much fun doing this.
This is what I like, especially about this. This is the same conversation that we would all be having, minus a few stories that I'm just like, I don't want my career to be over yet.
Yeah.
Right.
But like here it's different because we're not. Like obviously you're still under the umbrella of FD, but like when I talk to drivers and stuff, I'm not FD, so we can talk about different things than like say when they jump on your show,
There are questions like I watch the show. I try to tune in live when I can, but like there are questions you've asked where I'm like, I wish I could do that, and I probably could. It's purely not saying you're being disrespectful, but it's a respect thing where I'm like, if I try and push on this too hard, I could lose their respect and they could look at it as a negative. Whereas like for you can be a little bit more risky because you don't have as much to lose, I guess.
Exactly. So, well, I'm not part of a giant organization that has to.
Yeah, you wear the hat all the time, but ultimately you're not sponsored by them. We're not sponsored by them yet.
No. I need to
maybe
get
one day. Hey,
and I was gonna
happened to me.
Yeah.
Until then,
Yeah. Hopefully there will be some change with that soon-ish. We'll see. Let's see. I had a bunch of other stuff here. But the other thing that I did want to kind of ask, since we are at
everybody else
at the 2 hour mark, ish. But we ask every guest on our channel, do you have a Andy Luck story? And it's a little different because you're on the media side, which they do. He doesn't go easy on us either, I would say.
No. He tries to weed us out.
He does.
Like he tries to remove the weak ones.
Yeah.
It's like shaking a bundle of grapes or what's that called? A bunch of grapes. Bunch of grapes. Fuck. It's like a bunch of grapes. It's like shaking a bunch of grapes where like the weak ones just fall off. That's what he's doing. That's all he's doing. You cling on for dear life. You're like, all right, sick, I made it. But do I have a good Andy Luck story? There was one year in Texas. I think Nate was with me. I think you were running with me. We were running between media stations and my bag opened. And all my shit started falling. Do you remember this? You might have already made it or you were laughing at me.
Yeah.
And he does that.
We were in between. I think we were coming out of commercial.
And the worst part is it's Texas. So you got to remember, like Texas, it's long runs to these places. Like there's no good way to get to these media boxes.
It's like 150, 200 meter dash. Like it's a good chunk. And I stopped and turned back and Andy Luck started screaming and he's like, don't you fucking dare pick up your gear. You keep running. And I like did one, because I had no idea where he was. I did one of these. And then Jared came over the loudspeaker and was like, keep moving. And I'm like, and I think I was holding gear and I just dropped it and then continued to run. That was the most afraid I've ever been. That same event.
How did you get your stuff?
I had to wait until like we had another media break and I had to run back. But like it might have been an hour and a half. I don't know. My gear could have been just sitting in the grass in a danger zone because like it was in a bad spot. It was like outside zone 1. Yeah, like the big first sweeper running the reverse layout.
Yeah.
Wow.
That same event though, it's on the live stream, and I think I talked about it in the podcast with him. One of the media guys was drinking in one of the media pits, and it was one of the ones that were closer to the infield. And during the commercial break, they used to just set up or during like the in-between, it used to be one live stream, and they would just have a camera running in between top 32 and top 16.
Yep.
And on that live stream broadcast, you can see Andy Luck march his way out there, pissed off as all get out, and just start laying into this guy. And like grabs the can and like throws it, and he's just screaming. And the guy's walking away, and Andy's still yelling at him. And it's like in this like
amazing. I wish I had that footage.
It's got to be there. I want to say, I don't think it was the last year of Texas. I think it was the second to last year, so 2018.
Sounds about right.
I remember this story vaguely too. I didn't know that they had it on a live stream, but it's not like the most uncommon thing to get kicked out for. I think it's happened a couple times.
You can't be drinking as a media person on a hot
Well, no,
track.
I'm not saying
like,
don't disagree. I'm just saying there are enough people that don't know, and then they go and do it, and then it's like,
oh,
what are you doing?
Damn it.
I think that's common sense.
Yeah.
Like even my crazy ass, I'm like, let's wait till everything's cold. We'll have a bevy or two and we're done.
Yeah, not in a hot track.
Take a couple of steps off, take the vest off, go hide in the trailer. If you need a little sippy, you know.
If you need to do anything wrong,
the Eastern Europeans are just built a little different, okay?
If you're gonna do anything wrong, Herbie's your guy. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
like
if you want to do
something,
actually. You want to do a little bit of bad, but you need to be low key. Herbie's your dude.
Don't say that. That's terrible. No, it's not.
Oh my God! You're so quick. If you want to go and do a little bit of bad, that's
just dabble. Just a little appetizer.
I'm a dabble individual. I don't do anything wrong.
An amuse-bouche of bad.
And he just followed me again on Instagram, and I thought that he never unfollowed. I didn't even know he unfollowed me, but I guess at some point he unfollowed me. He followed me again the other day. Oh, jeez.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So good.
So
good.
Oh gosh. But
we had another travel language question from Chelsea Hebburn.
Okay.
So I mean, it's definitely getting around that you're
Chelsea.
Into
Hang on. This sounds like one of my wife's friends.
I hear a laugh.
I heard that laugh. Yeah, that was 100%.
Go on though.
I'm just looking at different stuff here.
I do gotta ask, chat. Loco Cereal, is that Olaf?
Is Loco Cereal Olaf?
That's what I'm wondering.
I thought his was One Friendly Snowman, but I guess not.
He might have switched up. If that means that, then his Aceto name is also Loco Cereal. And
Maybe?
I feel terrible for him.
I feel terrible for him.
Oh my god.
I have definitely put down some terrible runs for that poor gentleman before, if that means that. This might have already been asked. How do you feel like your commentating will change from FD to DMEC? I mean, not completely asked, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty similar. I'll be as technical, but it won't be the you go, I go. It's going to be me free flowing, which I got to do with Ian at LZ World Tour in Ireland. I still started to fall back into the I go, you go thing. And he kept pushing me. He's like, no, man, try this. Like, I'll do this part. And then you come in here and I'm like, okay. So it will take a little bit. And him and I will probably hang out for a full day or two before and just like right next to each other the whole time to try and get that cadence down. So
yeah, 100%.
That's the only way to get there is like, we got to become really good friends.
Yeah. There was a question in the chat and I can't seem to find it again, but it was your favorite event that you've commentated so far.
The first year of Utah was pretty legendary, but I would say calling Chelsea Denofa's championship in Irwindale was probably it. Because like calling James's fourth was cool. And it was different because I had followed him through the whole season. So it felt like a little bit more. But knowing that Chelsea was retiring kind of trumped that in a way. And it was it was Irwindale. So either one would be Irwindale. And I think it's a toss up between this year or the year before. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Both
were emotional.
I still think he's gonna come back someday. He will. He'll get bored.
I see him pretty regularly. Like I see Chelsea probably once or twice. Let's say like 3 or 4 times a month.
I see him as like a wild card guy. Just like
he's usually pretty serious about what he says. He'll stick with his word.
I don't want to give it away, but he's found a new way to be involved in the sport that is better for him, for what he wants to do right now. Yeah, I'm trying to be very careful with my words here, but he's found something that is as fulfilling, but ultimately better than what he was doing.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's different seasons in life as well. Like obviously he was amazing, integral part of FD when he was with us.
Yes.
You know.
He's definitely drifting into his autumn season.
Nice, yeah. He's a good autumn.
Yeah, Boys of Summer Chelsea is over, and it is now autumn.
That's amazing.
It's funny.
Oh man. Well, we have hit 2 hours, and like I just want to say thank you for coming on, man. It's been
this is great. I enjoyed the hell out of this. This is fun.
Yeah, it felt like 15 minutes.
So did my wife, apparently, because she's still laughing.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have some kind of audience. Somebody actually watched the show.
Is it bad? Half your viewers are currently in my living room right now.
Yeah,
no, it's perfect.
Dude, you got to start somewhere.
Bro, everybody started with 0. Everybody starts with 0.
This is true. No, and like you got the chat's been great this episode. We got a ton of questions. I appreciate the luggage questions and the heads up. That was probably the most important question we had all show. So
yeah, luggage.
Yeah, I'm sure that they absolutely loved it when he showed up with all your shit.
Nomadic, hit me up. I desperately need a sponsorship. I can't afford to keep buying bags from you.
My wife's about to kick me out.
Our closet has several Nomadic bags in it right now.
We're actually using the bags, the storage bags. Like
I use them as often as I possibly can. So
that's great.
All right. Well, hey, thank you guys. Yeah. I want to say I really like the show. Bold move on having several hosts. Not easy to do. Bold move on doing this twice a week. Also not easy to do. My opinion, you're doing everything wrong, but it's going so well. Just keep doing it.
Can you elaborate a little bit for us on why?
Because scheduling is so tough. It's so tough to get from the hardest part.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm waiting for something to go wrong, and nothing's gone wrong yet. I'm hitting on wood.
Really? Matthew dropping out of the line.
No, I'm like,
I
Okay.
came this close to canceling on you today. Like, there's a situation going on in my life right now where I'm like, fuck, I might have to cancel. But I'm like, nope, I'm gonna do it for Nate. I'm gonna grin and bear it. But like scheduling drivers, I love all the drivers. Oh my God, hang on. I'll finish this story and then I'll get to that. I just got a note passed to me. Fuck. This is going over 2 hours. This is going over 2 hours because of
No, you're good. Like I just, you know,
Schedule-
you got your schedule, so I'm like, you
Yeah.
know,
scheduling all of my drivers, all of the drivers, sorry, is incredibly difficult because they're hard to wrangle. It's like managing cats. Like you think you got it all sorted, and then they just they're gone. So
like liquid pouring through your arm, and
Dude.
it's so difficult. So huge congrats for doing that. It's very difficult to do. Managing anything with multiple people and multiple hosts is not easy to do either. Thankfully, we know already that Sara and Herbie don't have a lot going on. No offense. So it's a little bit easier.
Fine.
to get things.
No, it's okay. Totally a loser.
You
Got it.
opened the store. You opened the show telling me that you have nothing to do. It's not my fault.
Just
Yeah.
two
Just
jobs,
not.
night class, and a cat. It's totally fine.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't take
Come at
any
me, bro.
offense. I don't take no offense.
No, I don't either. I don't either.
If you got work, man,
So-
hand it over. No.
What? No, but the upside with it is that nobody else is doing it, so it's really good. And that's like ultimately to do something that people are going to notice, you have to do something different. So huge kudos to you guys doing it. Obviously, I don't want to like get too far ahead of myself.
Right.
Your schedule might get changed a little bit when FD happens, or you
Yeah.
just do it live on the Thursday at FD. You can do that too. I think that would be sick. I love that there's independent journalism in drifting. It's how I started. I think it's really, really important because I don't want everybody just towing the line. I don't want everybody just reporting the same stories. I want the deep, dark shit. I want the things that need to be called out. It is so important in all of it. So, love the show. Love what you guys are doing. I now understand where these comments are coming from. So, fuck. My wife has a fairly actually before I start, this is when I talked about that cadence.
Yeah.
Did at any point in time did a comment reference our husband? Was that ever commented?
In this live.
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't think so. Why? Are you trying to tell us that you're
No.
No.
hang out with
I have-
Utah more than
nope.
we thought you did?
I have one wife.
I just
But
said
a large group of women have assumed me as their husband.
Oh.
So let me explain. My wife has a fairly decent sized TikTok following.
Yes, I follow her. Love
Oh,
her
you follow
content.
her?
I do.
So that's who's here tonight. That's our audience, are her followers,
Love that.
because she sent them here. So the nomadic
That's
questions
funny.
is like an ongoing joke.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
refer to Jess at one point in a video said our husband instead of my husband, and now it's stuck, and she's not allowed to say anything else because they will go into her comments and be like, "No, that's our husband, not yours. He's our husband."
Right. Soviet
So-
Russia.
Yes, yeah. So this explains the nomadic bags because they make fun of me for my obsession with that. So all of her followers are here. So
That's great.
Love that.
hello, ladies.
It's the highest
I
female,
hope-
female
boys.
audience we've ever
And
had.
boys. Yeah.
I
There's,
hope it was a good foray into drifting and some of you guys stick around.
I would really love it if you
Yeah.
enjoyed this and you enjoy our passion around drifting, that you would watch some more drifting and you will
Yes,
follow
yes,
everybody
yes.
and you will get
100%.
into it. If you're like an F1 girly, FD drama, so much better and so
Oh,
much
yeah.
more relatable. So
It's true.
Yeah, because
yeah,
they're all
get into drifting.
they actually do struggle for money. That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
it's
Really hard to hear, someone talk about sponsorship when they live in Monaco and are playing $1 million piano. And it's
Right.
like, yeah, it's been a rough year. I'm like,
With their
Very
rewards.
hard yeah,
You could just
$1 million
liquidate
watch.
and you'll be all right.
Very hard to relate. Then you get like a Jeff Jones who's eating canned hot dogs on the road because he can't afford anything else just to get to an event. That's
Yeah.
relatability.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
true. No, and I love what, like, it's so hard because, like, you and I know, like, working with drivers that struggle, to make it, and like it's like
Don't want to name any names, Nate.
but
Or Sarah.
I don't know anything.
I don't know anybody.
I've never met any drivers ever in my life.
But it's just one of those scenarios where like I try to help as much as I can, man. But it's tough, man. Like it's just one of those things where the industry, like they put on, like a lot of people put on a face, especially in Formula Drift, but like there's so much behind the scenes stuff where people are like doing really interesting things to make it out there. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if
it's so hard.
Yeah. The only thing
I want to touch on it more, but yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I haven't heard is anyone starting an OnlyFans yet. That I'm still waiting for that one to come out.
Look into Club Loose a little bit more, and you'll find.
Yeah. Yeah, it's happening there.
These boys don't really want it then.
If I thought people would pay good money for my feet,
hey,
this podcast
never
would be
know.
better. What if I put like tiny little teal toques on each toe?
Now that could be something.
I would sub, dude. I'm gonna be real. I would sub.
Yo, give me your $9. Let's make this happen.
$9? That's almost $1 a piggy, dude. Those things are premium, bro. They went to market, dude.
Damn right. Pedicures ain't cheap. You know this.
$9 a month. That's not bad. You could get a dog every day.
A dog a day. We're doing all of his marketing for him.
I know, right? Yeah, we got our own marketing team here. No, but honestly, like, just to kind of explain my end of doing this, because obviously Jacob thinks I'm insane for doing live, especially with multiple hosts. But like, Herbie, for example, you kind of made me do this. You were like, we need to do more. Because he was helping me with filming and doing live streams, and he's like, dude, like, why are we, like, you could do so much more. I'm like,
bro, the Herbie practice stream was it. I love the Herbie practice stream.
Dude.
Talking shit, dog. Live.
No, I love it. It's great.
I'll tear it up live.
Live.
But yeah, so it just works out so good. And then Sara can talk about pretty much anything to anyone. You just shove a microphone in her face, and then she just does things.
Mechanical knowledge. She's got on track.
Can I tell Sarah's story?
Oh God. Okay. Yeah.
PRI 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago?
Had to have been.
We're down in the trailer section, and I'm like walking around like nothing, and she comes up and just grabs me by the shoulder and spins me around. She's like, "Hi, I'm Sara." I'm like, "Hi." She's like, "You're Jacob, right?" I'm like, "Yep." She's like, "Here's my card. I really want to do more stuff. You're doing a lot of stuff. How do I do more stuff?" And like, that was basically how I got my introduction to Sara.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a weirdo sometimes.
That was great. But, hey, we still talk, so it worked out.
It's true. Yeah. And you had some really great advice. And I've hit you over I'm still trying to find my niche where I fit in. Because obviously, like, I'm a drifting nerd to my core, but I don't know how I can be involved with professional drifting more in a way that like makes sense. So, trying a few different things, bouncing ideas off you, really appreciate it. It just goes to show that the whole like camaraderie of the drivers, it doesn't just stop at the drivers. It's everybody here is willing to help each other out. So
we just want to see it succeed at the end of the day.
Right.
That's it.
100%. Yeah.
I have no ill will towards anybody in the way that they want to go and make this. I mean, there's a few circumstances, obviously, like criminal things, but like,
right.
Ultimately, like if you want to be involved with the sport, then do it. Like, biggest thing, talk to everybody, make as many friends, and be a good person. Like, that's it. Being a good person's keeping your word. Don't talk shit. Like, it's a small community. If you talk shit about somebody, they're going to find out, and people won't forget. Like, you just have to be a good person, because we weed out shitty people so quick, and we do it very publicly. That's the best part. Yeah.
Yep.
Don't fuck with T-Pain.
No. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a time on the internet.
That was a good time. Oh, Herbie's back. We got talking shit.
Don't fuck with T-Pain.
You do.
T-Pain.
No, but it's true.
Right.
And then you definitely you weed out people, and that's why these guys are here, because they're good people, and they also don't have anything to do. So it's the other, it's a double.
Someday I'm gonna get something to do, dog, but I'm never gonna forget you, bro.
You're screwed, man. The day I find something to do, I'm out of a job.
No,
Heatwave,
they
if you see
pushed
this,
me.
I did send my application in. Don't worry. I need something on a day-to-day basis. That would be
Oh,
awesome.
man.
There you go.
Nate doesn't pay enough apparently, so I can't keep Herbie full time.
Well,
He
you know
does.
the driver. You know the drivers that I
does.
work for. You know what I get paid.
Eight
I-
weeks out of the year, it's very fine. But there's like a whole 44 more of those that I need
Yeah.
to take care of.
Good math.
It's
Good
true.
math.
Yeah.
All right. I should hang out with my family. My sister and
Yeah.
my
100%.
stepdad are here from Canada, so I should probably.
Absolutely.
They're
Don't
getting a
get-
free show, but
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, guys, thank you everyone for hanging out. Thank you, obviously,
Yeah.
Jacob, Herbie, and Sarah for coming on. And next week, I don't have it locked in yet because I work with drivers, and you know how that goes. So I get the magical maybes of like, oh, I think I can do it. But we will obviously be live next Tuesday through thick or thin. Don't worry about that. And be sure to go check out Jacob's. Obviously, I'm pretty sure everyone in here checks out the FT podcast, but if they haven't yet, and if living under a rock, go do it.
Go do it. Thank you so much for coming on. It was really insightful to get to chat with you and chill with you for 2 hours. So thanks.
yeah, no, this was awesome. Like I said, this feels very much like our usual hangouts at an event. So that's
The only
that's
thing I
wanted to
missed out on was Canadian jokes. I really slacked on those this time, but you know what?
Yeah. You do those just on our phone calls, though.
Yeah, dude.
You'll make some socialism jab once every few sentences.
I got
How's
you.
having healthcare, idiot.
It's pretty great. It's pretty
Yeah.
great. I mean,
Was
now I gotta pay
pretty
for
good.
it, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
I can
pretty
still
good.
go back. Like literally, I still got my health card, man. I could just fly back. And,